Chapter 3209. Not long after, the sounds of battle came from afar. Let's begin. Hearing the sounds of battle in the distance, Knight Sorrow immediately transmitted his voice to his friends. At this moment, Eunice suddenly said, "The array formation where we are seems to have been activated." "Oh. That's true. Everyone, don't panic. I'll think of a way to break the array formation." Knight Sorrow opened the sea serpent's eye and saw that it was true. He immediately summoned the restriction-breaking hammer. He said, "Quickly break the array. If we're slow, the cultivators of the Sea Dragon Imperial Palace might rush over. If we're intercepted by them, it will be even more difficult for us to attack the 8th level. Don't worry, this array formation is not difficult to break. It won't be difficult for us." After the male hammer of the restriction-breaking hammer finished speaking, it cooperated with the female hammer and began to break the array. After being tempered by Yan's calligraphy, their abilities had been greatly improved. In about 10 breaths of time, they successfully broke the array formation. At this moment, Knight Sorrow had already sensed a large group of cultivators approaching. "Hence," he said, "everyone, follow me." Heaven-defying left alone. Most of the cultivators of Sea Dragon City were in front of him. Knight Sorrow felt that if they stayed, they would definitely encounter a fierce battle, so he brought everyone away. After leaving the residence that the Sea Dragon King had arranged for everyone, Knight Sorrow arranged for Centurion Hei Chi and the others to support Heaven-defying and those cultivators who had been imprisoned for many years. He was clear that the Heaven-defying bead had an advantage by releasing those people alone. But in a large-scale battle, it would definitely be difficult for 2 fists to fight against 4 hands. After Hei Chi and the others went to support, Knight Sorrow summoned the puppet Sea Dragon Ao Shui and transformed into his appearance. He stored Yun Yi, Whirling Woman and the others into the spatial grotto heaven, broke through the various restrictions of the Sea Dragon Imperial Palace and rushed towards the square in the center of the city. This Sea Dragon Ao Shui was the illegitimate son of the Sea Dragon King. Everyone in the Sea of Evil knew that. His reputation was quite bad. On the way to the square, they encountered many cultivators and immediately avoided them. While they were rushing, shocking flames erupted in the Sea Dragon Imperial Palace. Even the roar of the Sea Dragon King could be heard. Clearly, the battle was getting more and more intense. Senior Heaven-defying situation doesn't seem good. The Sea Dragon King's voice came out so quickly. If he was intercepted, how could he obtain the sea-calming divine iron? Knight Sorrow, who was looking back at the Sea Dragon Palace, immediately felt worried when he heard the Sea Dragon King's voice. At this moment, Little 7 said, "I can sense that the cultivator guarding Little 8 is being transferred to the Sea Dragon Imperial Palace. It's the best opportunity for us to go now. Hurry up." "All right." Knight Sorrow responded and quickly headed to the 8th floor. To him, this was his first goal. He was prepared to obtain it and then consider whether or not to return to the palace and help the Heaven-defying bead. "We'll be there soon. Little 8's location is 10,000 miles ahead of us. Our problem right now is that there are some cultivators cultivating inside." After getting closer, Little 9 reminded him. "Don't worry, I have a way." Hearing this, Knight Sorrow smiled and roared from 10,000 miles away, "Ao Shui is here. If you don't want to live, then continue to cultivate in the demonic pagoda." Then, as he approached, he continued to shout, "If you want to live, then give me the cultivation pagoda." Many people who were cultivating on the 8th floor of the Eternal Realm were immediately enraged when they heard this. But after waking up, these people immediately felt unlucky when they realized that the person who came was Ao Shui. Those who were weak basically scattered like birds and beasts. Although a few of them were strong, they still chose to leave. They mainly didn't want to offend the Sea Dragon King because of Ao Shui. Although he was an illegitimate child, they couldn't kill him at will. After leaving this place, they all noticed that the Sea Dragon Imperial Palace was already in a state of fire and smoke. They immediately went to see what was going on. Knight Sorrow brought his men to the entrance of the 8th floor. At this moment, some of the guards who weren't transferred to the Sea Dragon Imperial Palace walked out one after another. Night Sorrow, who was originally prepared to make a move, realized that there were more than 20 Sky Supreme cultivators present. He immediately gave up on using forceful means to snatch it. He said, "I want to go in and cultivate." "Lord Aoshui, you can cultivate, but you have to pay the corresponding fee. This is the rule set by the Sea Dragon King." At this moment, the Sea Dragon Imperial Palace was in chaos. If it were anyone else who came to cultivate, they would have chased them away long ago. But they were still polite to Aoshui. They also knew that this jinx was not to be trifled with. "Let's go in first." These guards had no intention of stopping them. Little Seven immediately sent a voice transmission to Night Sorrow. "All right. Let's go in and think of a way." Night Sorrow replied and casually took out some resources and threw them over. He said arrogantly, "Take the resources and get lost immediately. Don't block the way." Although many guards were unhappy with such an arrogant attitude, they still made way. After all, the impression Aoshui left on them was too bad. He was a completely unreasonable pervert. They didn't want to provoke such trash at all. Aoshui's identity is really useful. After successfully entering the pagoda, Yun Yi, who was released, immediately laughed. He was a little emotional. He felt that if the heaven-defying bead could find such a clone, that would be great. However, at this moment, it was obviously not the time to talk about that matter, so he didn't speak. Little 5, Little 7, Little 9, what should I do to collect him? Night Sorrow, who had released everyone, asked. Little 8, who was in front of him, was in a very strange state. He wasn't sure if he should directly purify him or what. Hearing this, Little 7 said, "It should be like what Little 9 did back then. First, defeat him, then purify him with the power of merit." However, Little 8 is now at the level of a heavenly sovereign. He shouldn't be easy to deal with. You don't have to worry about that. I'm very curious. You all can sense him from so far away. Why hasn't he reacted at all when we have already entered? Night Sorrow said, somewhat puzzled. Because I'm waiting for you all to fall into my trap. Night Sorrow had just finished speaking when a voice full of murderous intent came from the 8th level. Even just by listening to the voice, everyone could feel a great evil aura rushing toward them. Have you fallen to such a state? Little 7, who heard the voice, immediately rebuked angrily. Fallen? What do you mean by fallen? I only know that at this moment, all of you combined are no match for me. Just wait to be absorbed by me as nourishment. The 8th level of the Eternal Divine Tower said with a demonic tone. Hearing this, Little 5 suddenly said, his voice is a little strange. This isn't just a matter of demonization. It seems like his soul has been corroded by someone. Who cares about him? Purify him directly first. Little 7, who was infuriated, said angrily. You want to purify me? Let's see if you have the ability to do so. Hearing this, Little 8 laughed maliciously. He was obviously very confident in himself. Chapter 32:10. No matter what situation he is in, let's purify him first. Little 8's reaction made Little 7 a little unhappy. He said to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow nodded and said, okay. Let's try to hurry. Then we might be able to support Senior Heaven Defying and the others. How should we cooperate? At this moment, Dancing Woman and the others asked with some doubts. They were in the tower and didn't know what to do. When the battle starts, those guards will definitely appear. You guys are in charge of dealing with those guards. Leave the rest to me, Little 5, Little 7, and Little 9. Night Sorrow looked at Dancing Woman and said. At this moment, Little 8 had already started to make trouble. He summoned some of the cultivators' souls that he had devoured before and appeared in front of everyone. Let's get rid of these things first. The guards hadn't come in yet. Clearly, Little 8 hadn't informed them. He might have had unparalleled confidence in himself and wanted to fight against Night Sorrow and the others. But it was obvious that he had overestimated himself. The souls or wandering souls that were summoned didn't have much combat strength at all. They were quickly killed by Night Sorrow and the others. At this moment, Little 8 realized that his judgment was wrong. He had underestimated his opponent. So he sent a voice transmission to the guards and asked them to come and support him. Although they were a little afraid of Ao Shui, they still rushed over together. Compared to Ao Shui making things difficult for them, they were more afraid of losing things and angering the Sea Dragon King. After all, offending him meant certain death. When the guards arrived, Yun Yi, Dancing Woman, and the others immediately started fighting with them. As for Night Sorrow, he chose to leave them and prepared to find a hidden area to purify Little 8. There were too many people in front of him. It wasn't appropriate for him to use the power of merit. Regarding this, the 8th floor of the Eternal Divine Tower didn't stop him. Instead, it helped him teleport to a separate space. This is the Nirvana space. After teleporting to a separate space, Little 7 immediately reminded, this Nirvana space has the ability to refine cultivators' souls. Night Sorrow, be careful not to be refined. I will be careful. Night Sorrow replied and summoned the Dragon of Merit. However, the Dragon of Virtue had been concealed. It looked like a black dragon. If one didn't sense it carefully, they wouldn't realize that it was actually an extremely sacred energy. Is this all you've got? I think you should protect yourselves first. At this moment, the 8th level of the Eternal Divine Tower suddenly sneered. Then, countless evil spirits were summoned from the Nirvana space. These were the bodies of cultivators whose souls had perished and turned into walking corpses. After no less than 100 evil spirits appeared, they all rushed towards Night Sorrow. Facing these evil spirits, Night Sorrow didn't hesitate and immediately charged over with the golden heavenly halberd. After fighting for a while, he felt that the pressure of the battle was too great, so he separated from the puppet. He used his true body and the puppet to fight together. Relying on the 9 steps of the Defiant of the Heavens, he quickly destroyed these evil spirits that had hard bodies but were not very fast. Annihilation Divine Soul. After Night Sorrow and the puppet Ao Shui destroyed the evil spirit in front of them. The 8th level of the Eternal Divine Tower didn't give them a chance to breathe at all and immediately used the Nirvana Space's ultimate technique. The Annihilation Divine Soul was attacking their souls. The puppet Ao Shui's soul had already been destroyed, so it wasn't affected at all by such an attack. And when Night Sorrow was attacked, he took out the copybook to block it. This caused the copybook to dim completely, but he wasn't hurt at all. Then, Night Sorrow began to use the Dragon of Merit that he summoned to purify the dark aura of the 8th level. What kind of energy is this? The 8th level of the Eternal Divine Tower that was being purified immediately realized that something was wrong. The reason for that was because the power of virtue was simply too powerful in purifying him. He was simply unable to resist at all. This was completely different from what he had expected. He's being suppressed. I didn't expect that once the power of merit is used, Little 8 wouldn't be able to resist at all. Seeing that Night Sorrow was purifying Little 8 with the power of merit, Little 7 was instantly overjoyed. He didn't expect things to go so smoothly. It's too early for you to be happy. At this moment, a cold voice sounded again. The blackened Little 8 sneered, I won't be subdued so easily. Then, he summoned a doppelganger from the Annihilation Divine Space. The doppelganger of the Sea Dragon King. After being summoned, the doppelganger of the Sea Dragon King was stunned at first. Then, he looked at Night Sorrow and the rest and immediately understood what was going on. He sneered, you really have guts. You dare to covet my things? Go to hell. After roaring, he launched an attack at Sorrow. The strength of the Sea Dragon King was at the peak of the upper heavenly sovereign level and was about to enter the half-step to the supreme realm. Although it was just a doppelganger, Night Sorrow was powerless against it. Left with no choice, he could only take out the ancient coffin and block in front of him. When the doppelganger of the Sea Dragon King hit the ancient coffin, it was immediately absorbed completely. There wasn't even a ripple. What kind of treasure is this? Looking at the ancient coffin floating in front of Night Sorrow, the doppelganger of the Sea Dragon King said in shock. But at this moment, his face suddenly changed and he said, "Not good. Something has happened to the sea calming iron. I have to rush over. Eternal Devil Tower, protect yourself for a while. I'll be back soon." What? Hearing this, the 8th level of the Eternal Divine Tower collapsed. He didn't expect the doppelganger of the Sea Dragon King to leave at this moment. And Night Sorrow knew what was going on. It should be the heaven-defying beast snatching the sea-calming iron. That was something that the Sea Dragon clan would risk their lives to protect. Naturally, it was more important than the 8th level of the Eternal Divine Tower. After that, without the threat of the Sea Dragon King's doppelganger, Night Sorrow successfully purified Little 8, who had no resistance. After being purified, Little 8 began to help Night Sorrow and the rest deal with the guards. They successfully eliminated all the guards. Let's go near the sea calming iron and check out the situation. If they are evenly matched, we'll help. If the difference is too great, we'll leave immediately. After Night Sorrow got Little 8, he thanked Yun Yi and the rest and said. Hearing this, no one had any objections. In fact, if there was a chance, they all wanted to get some of the sea calming iron and use it to strengthen their own divine weapons. Just as they were rushing to the location of the sea calming iron, Little 7, Little 8, and Little 9 had successfully merged together to form a new Heavenly Supreme Divine Tower. Although it was at the Heavenly Supreme level, its usefulness had increased countless times. Not only did it have a cultivation space that was 10 times faster, but it could also refine cultivation and resources directly into pure energy that could be absorbed directly. As long as a cultivator absorbed the converted pure energy, they would be able to raise their cultivation and save countless years of cultivation. Chapter 32:11. Its power was much stronger than Little 7's. And after combining, it could even release some energy directly to attack the enemy. It was almost equivalent to an attack from a Middle Sky Supreme. Its power was still very strong. It was no longer a decoration. It feels very good to combine them. Night Sorrow, let's hurry to the place where the battle is happening. We can quickly absorb the energy and convert it into pure energy that you can absorb. We can also help you attack. When Yishang was flying towards the Sea Dragon Royal Palace, Little 7 and Yishang were preaching the Tao. Then, he told Night Sorrow that the more serious the casualties, the more powerful they were and could absorb a large amount of energy from the dead. I got it. However, there is the Sea Dragon King and many Sea Dragons experts in the Sea Dragon Palace. We have to get closer bit by bit. Otherwise, we can't guarantee everyone's safety. While Night Sorrow replied, he had been using the Sea Dragon's eye to observe the situation around him. After approaching the Sea Dragon Palace, he sent a voice transmission to Heaven Defying. Senior Heaven Defying, how are things on your side? I have already brought people to the periphery of the Sea Dragon Palace. If you need our help, just say the word. Now, the Sea Dragon King and his elites have all been lured away by me and are far away from the Sea Dragon Palace. The ones fighting inside are basically my subordinates and the cultivators who were rescued. Heaven Defying, who heard the voice transmission, said and continued, their lives are important. But now, there is something more important. I didn't take out the sea calming divine iron and was discovered by the Sea Dragon King. At this moment, they are all chasing me. You can try and see if you can take out the sea calming divine iron. Senior Heaven Defying, I will try my best to help you snatch the sea calming divine iron. Night Sorrow sent a voice transmission to Heaven Defying. Then, he sent a voice transmission to everyone in front of him, telling them about this matter and seeing who agreed and who disagreed. In the end, no one objected. Only Little 7 sent a voice transmission to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow, we need to go to the battlefield and absorb the energy. Only then can we help you better. Then let's split up for now. You guys go and absorb the energy. If we succeed, I will send a voice transmission to you and then everyone will gather together. How about this? Can you guarantee your safety? Night Sorrow transmitted his voice to Little Seven. It can guarantee our safety, but just in case, you still need to inscribe a concealment formation on our bodies. Little Seven asked Night Sorrow to summon them. Good. Remember, you must pay attention to your safety. It's best if you don't lose yourself because you've absorbed too much darkness energy. Got it? As Night Sorrow spoke, he inscribed a concealment array pattern on the tower. After hearing Night Sorrow's instructions, Little Seven, Little Eight, and Little Nine all gave their word and flew into the sky. After that, Night Sorrow led his men to the location of the sea-calming divine iron. Along the way, he sent voice transmissions to Heaven-Defying to ask about the sea-calming divine iron. The Heaven-Defying bead did not respond in time. It was obvious that it was having a hard time being chased by the Sea Dragon King. However, he still explained the matter clearly. After that, the Heaven-Defying beast sent a voice transmission. After you succeed, don't return to Sea Dragon City. Go straight to Slaughter Heaven Academy. If you can get all of the sea-calming divine iron, please leave me 1/10. That 1/10 can allow me to recover to half-step to Supreme Realm. Don't worry, Senior Heaven-Defying. If I get it, I'll definitely keep it for you. After you escape, come to Slaughter Heaven Academy to find me. After Night Sorrow said that, he began to explain to everyone about the sea-calming divine iron. The Heaven-Defying beast sent a voice transmission at the end. Don't worry, I know Heaven-Defying's 9 steps. Furthermore, I can transform back into a sword body. My speed can increase a lot. I won't be killed so easily. Good. Senior. See you at Slaughter Heaven Academy. After Night Sorrow said that, his attention was immediately focused. That was because he had already led his men to the sea-calming divine iron. As the Sea Dragon King and other super experts were mostly chasing after the Heaven-Defying beast. Ordinary guards were fighting with the cultivators of Sea Dragon City and those who were released. There were only 4 people left guarding the sea-calming divine iron. They were the 4th prince, the 5th prince, and their Tao companions. Their Tao companions were also sea dragons, but they were not of the Sea Dragon King's bloodline. Their auras were slightly weaker than the 4th prince and the 5th prince, but they were all experts among the lower heavenly sovereigns. The 4 of them were now underground, guarding the sea-calming divine iron. Night Sorrow also used the Sea Dragon's eye to see the 4 of them underground. There are 4 people below. Their strength is at the peak of the lower heavenly sovereign level. When we go down later, we will directly use the joint attack array. We should be able to finish them off quickly. After we finish them off, we will take the sea-calming divine iron. After Night Sorrow said that, he followed the entrance and entered the underground where the sea-calming divine iron was. As soon as they entered, they alarmed the 4th prince and the 5th prince, as well as their Tao companions. They saw that it was Night Sorrow and some other cultivators who had killed the Sea Dragon King. The 4th prince and the 5th prince's faces were filled with murderous intent. The 2 of them and their Tao companions did not say a word. As they transmitted their voices to the Sea Dragon King, they immediately attacked Night Sorrow and the rest. You overestimate yourselves. If I were you, I would definitely choose to escape immediately. It's better than losing your lives here. Seeing the 4th prince, the 5th prince, and their Tao companions directly attack. A dark smile immediately appeared on Dancing Lady's face. Her vertical eye also opened. And the truth was basically the same as she had expected. The 4th prince, the 5th prince, and their Tao companions were not a match for Night Sorrow and the rest at all. In less than 30 breaths of time, they were all killed by Night Sorrow and the rest. We have to hurry up. Before they died, they must have already sent a voice transmission to the Sea Dragon King. The Sea Dragon King will rush back soon. After killing the enemies guarding the place, Night Sorrow immediately looked at the sea-calming divine iron. This sea-calming divine iron was a thick black iron pillar. Its entire body was enveloped by dense black gas, emitting a powerful aura. However, this thing was a dead object and did not have an artifact spirit. With a glance, Night Sorrow determined that this thing was definitely very hard. He said, "Let's try our best to collect it. Let's try to collect as much as we can." "All right." After Night Sorrow spoke, Dancing Lady and the rest did not delay and directly flew towards the sea-calming divine iron. However, after each of them tried, they all frowned. This sea-calming divine iron was simply too hard. They tried their best to attack with their divine weapons, but they could only cut off some iron shavings. Even if they used their special skills, they could not get it off. I finally know why the Sea Dragon King only left 4 people to guard this sea-calming divine iron. It turns out that this thing is so difficult to collect. Xian Nian, who had tried but could not collect a single bit of the sea-calming divine iron, said helplessly. Yunyi looked at Night Sorrow and asked, "Do you have a way to collect this thing?" Guarding this treasure but not being able to take it off at all, this feeling is really uncomfortable. Chapter 32:12. Senior Heaven Defying has already sent me a voice transmission, telling me that the Sea Dragon King has given up on chasing him and has chosen to turn back. We don't have much time left. Let me try. Night Sorrow said and activated the Treastrimsa Battle Mystic technique. Then, he used the Golden Heavenly Halberd to unleash the Godly Shot. This was his stronger attack. However, it had no effect on the divine sea-calming iron. Against a material that was half a step into the limitless realm, his attack level was still too low. He could not shake it at all. Looks like it won't work. Although it's a pity, we have to go. Otherwise, when the Sea Dragon King returns, we'll all be killed. Seeing that Night Sorrow's attack had no effect, Yen Tianlai said. His words immediately received the agreement of Dancing Lady, Wu Hua, and the others. They all knew that no one present had the ability to obtain the divine sea-calming iron. I'll try one last time. At this moment, Night Sorrow, who had been silent for a moment, spoke again. He took out the ancient coffin from the space, charged it, and smashed it. After all, the ancient coffin had appeared in front of everyone. He had no intention of continuing to hide it. Of course, this was also because the divine sea-calming iron was too valuable. Boom! When the ancient coffin smashed onto the divine sea-calming iron, it immediately let out a loud explosion. And the divine sea-calming iron that was hit was directly broken and collapsed on the spot. Success! Amazing! Seeing that Night Sorrow had used the ancient coffin to break the divine sea-calming iron, Dancing Lady immediately shouted in surprise. She knew that if Night Sorrow succeeded, everyone present would benefit. She was very excited to be able to obtain a half-step to Supreme Realm material. The others were also very happy. Yen Tianlai even raised his arms and shouted. "Be quiet, don't alarm the other enemies." After Yunyi reminded, he immediately looked at Night Sorrow and said, "Brother Yi, quickly collect it. Let's leave quickly. Then I'll collect the divine sea-calming iron first. When we return to Lu Tian Academy, we'll split it evenly. Of course, Senior Heaven Defying will have a share. Does anyone have any objections?" Night Sorrow said before he was about to collect the divine sea-calming iron. Hearing this, Su Lei, who had been silent all this while, urged, "Why are you still being so wishy-washy at this time? Hurry up and collect them. Let's leave this place before the Sea Dragon King returns." Yes. He had to act fast. If we delay for even a moment, we might not be able to escape. Xian Nian said anxiously. To them, the Sea Dragon King was an invincible existence. However, Night Sorrow had used brute force to break the sea-calming divine iron. This was already considered a pleasant surprise. They were all very satisfied. As for how much they would get, that was a matter for later. First, they had to leave safely. Everyone, please enter my space paradise. I will take you out of here. After collecting the divine sea-calming steel, Night Sorrow looked at everyone and said. When he used the 9 steps of the Defiant of the Heavens, his speed was faster than everyone present, which was why he said that. Hearing this, Yunyi, Xian Nian, and Ape Tian Lai, who had complete faith in Night Sorrow, entered without hesitation. Seeing this, the remaining cultivators didn't dally and were sucked in one after another. After that, Night Sorrow took the divine sea calming steel and his friends and quickly left the underground. When he returned to the surface, he sent a message to Little Seven. Little Seven, how's the collection going on your side? The Sea Dragon King will be back soon. We need to leave quickly. Hundreds of cultivators and sea dragons have already died here. Every second we stay here, we will gain a lot more. If we collect another 10 breaths, you should be able to advance to an upper earthly sovereign. You decide if you want to take this risk or not. Little Seven quickly sent a message to Night Sorrow. He could advance his cultivation from a middle earthly sovereign to an upper earthly sovereign. This was definitely a great temptation for Night Sorrow. After all, he didn't know how long it would take for him to advance if he relied on his own cultivation. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow said, Little Seven, wait for my news. I will ask Senior Heaven Defying how long it will take for the Sea Dragon King to return. You ask first. We will continue to work. Little Seven replied. Together with Little 8 and Little 9, they continued to control the tower's energy. At this time, Night Sorrow sent a message to Heaven Defying. Senior Heaven Defying, we have already collected the divine sea calming steel. How long will it take for the Sea Dragon King to return to the Sea Dragon Palace? He knew that the Sea Dragon King and the rest had given up on chasing Heaven Defying. However, Heaven Defying wouldn't have gone far. The Sea Dragon King is now 20 breaths away from the nearest teleportation portal. In other words, he will return to the Sea Dragon Palace in about 20 breaths. Heaven Defying, who had been following the Sea Dragon King, said. Hearing that the divine sea calming steel had been collected, he was naturally very happy. However, he didn't dwell on this issue. Instead, he revealed his location. He felt that the teleportation portal that Night Sorrow had set up was very close. Hearing this, Night Sorrow said, Senior, you don't have to move. Just wait for me over there. I will be there soon. No. I will meet you outside the Sea Dragon City. Heaven Defying heard Night Sorrow's words and immediately refused. Senior, if you rely on flying to return here, it will take too long. It's better to wait over there. Night Sorrow retorted and transmitted his voice to Little Seven. Little Seven, come out immediately when you have absorbed enough. The Sea Dragon King will return in about 15 breaths. Don't worry. We will absorb another 5 breaths and it will be enough for you to advance. Little Seven replied and continued to absorb energy. At this moment, Whirling Woman, who was in the space grotto heaven, asked curiously, Night Demon, why haven't you chosen to escape? Don't be anxious. There will be no problem in a few breaths. Night Sorrow promised. Actually, he was also very anxious. However, in order to increase his cultivation, he had to take the risk of 10 breaths. At this moment, No Flower urged, Boss, hurry up. The Sea Dragon King's strength is not something we can fight against. It's fine. There's still time. Night Sorrow roughly estimated that they had more than 10 breaths of time left. The Sea Dragon King should need to reflect when he returned to the Sea Dragon Palace before he could catch up. Night Sorrow. We are back. 2 breaths in advance. Just as Night Sorrow was waiting, Little Seven's voice transmission suddenly came. Hearing this, Night Sorrow immediately urged, Hurry. Go faster. We are already trying our best to escape. Little Seven continued. Not long after he finished speaking, Night Sorrow saw them and immediately kept them in the space grotto heaven. Then, he quickly flew out of the city. Where are you going? Today, you and the sea calming divine iron cannot leave my sea of evil. After flying for about 10 breaths, Night Sorrow suddenly heard the Sea Dragon King's angry roar. He immediately burned his bloodline power and released his power of merit. He flew towards the teleportation array as fast as he could. He was prepared to use the nearest teleportation array to teleport to where Heaven Defying was. Chapter 32:13. Go faster. I can even feel the Sea Dragon King's aura. As Night Sorrow flew towards the teleportation array, Wuhua urged him. Don't worry, we will leave safely. Hearing Wuhua's words, Night Sorrow replied and continued to speed up. The reason why he was so stable was that when the Sea Dragon King roared, they had already flown out of the Sea Dragon Palace. The elites of the Sea Dragon City were all summoned to the Sea Dragon Palace to fight. Along the way, they did not encounter any cultivators who tried to stop them. They maintained a very fast speed. Moreover, although Night Sorrow's absolute speed was slower than the Sea Dragon King, it was not much slower. Bastard! How can a Middle Earthly sovereign's speed be so fast? The Sea Dragon King, who was chasing behind, could feel Night Sorrow's aura in the void, but he could not see his figure. This made the Sea Dragon King very angry. This was because the divine sea calming iron was extremely important to the Sea of Evil. Basically, it was the source of power. Without it in the future, the strength of the sea dragons in the Sea of Evil would be greatly reduced. This was something that the Sea Dragon King could not accept. Burn. Blood of the Sea Dragon royal family. Unable to catch up, the Sea Dragon King was so angry that he burned his blood and used the power of his blood to increase his speed. With the support of the Sea Dragon royal family's blood, his speed increased by a lot. When Night Sorrow approached the teleportation array, he successfully saw Night Sorrow's figure. Die for this emperor. Seeing that Night Sorrow was about to enter the teleportation array, the Sea Dragon King roared and attacked the teleportation array at the same time. This attack covered Night Sorrow and the teleportation array. In his opinion, even if this attack could not kill Night Sorrow, it would destroy the teleportation array. It's over. This attack is definitely the strongest attack of an upper earthly sovereign. None of us can take it. Seeing that the Sea Dragon King had caught up and attacked, Wuhua sighed and said. At this moment, he somewhat blamed Night Sorrow for stopping for 10 breaths of time. He felt that if it wasn't for those 10 breaths of time, they would have already reached the ends of the world. What are you worried about? Although I don't have the ability to fight with the Sea Dragon King for a long time, receiving one of his attacks is not a problem. Night Sorrow roared and took out the ancient coffin again, blocking in front of him. The Sea Dragon King's attack was directly absorbed by the ancient coffin without even a sound. Yeah. How could I forget about this treasure on your body? It can even break the sea calming divine iron, let alone the Sea Dragon King's attack. Seeing Night Sorrow use the ancient coffin to block the Sea Dragon King's attack, the swaying woman, who had also become nervous, relaxed. She knew that Night Sorrow had successfully blocked this attack, which meant that they had enough time to use the teleportation array to leave. Sea Dragon King, we'll meet again. At this moment, Night Sorrow did not dare to be careless. He shouted towards the Sea Dragon King and used the teleportation formation to leave. Teleport to the heaven-defying beads location. Escaped. Very good. Let's continue to use the teleportation formation to teleport further. Quickly leave the Sea Dragon King's territory. When Tian and I saw Night Sorrow, he did not ask about the sea-calming divine iron and directly entered the teleportation formation with him, successfully teleporting out of the Sea of Evil. Then, the two of them ran all the way. Using the teleportation formation many times, they successfully returned to the Lu Tian Academy. After arriving at the Lu Tian Academy, Night Sorrow invited Tian and I and the rest to his residence as guests. This was one of his rites. After everyone drank the celebratory wine, Night Sorrow took out the sea-calming divine iron. He said, according to our plan, everyone can distribute this evenly. But now, we don't have the ability to cut it open. I'm going to let Senior Tian and I absorb this sea-calming divine iron first. When he advances to the half-step to the Supreme Realm, we'll let him distribute it for everyone. What do you think? I think this is very reasonable. If we find a half-step to the Supreme Realm to do it, the other party will definitely ask for a high reward. If we distribute it ourselves, there won't be such a problem. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Swaying Woman agreed. Su Lei and the rest naturally had no objections. Therefore, everyone decided to let Tian and I cultivate at Night Sorrow's place first. When he broke through, he would distribute the sea-calming divine iron. However, Tian and I was also a person who was particular. Before cultivating, he took out all the resources on him and distributed them to everyone present. Everyone, I'll need about 200 years to advance to the half-step to the Supreme Realm. I hope you can wait patiently. Thank you. After distributing the resources, Tian and I began to cultivate in seclusion to absorb the sea-calming divine iron. While Tian and I was cultivating in seclusion, Night Sorrow looked at Swaying Woman and the rest and said, I'm also going to cultivate in seclusion to break through to a new realm. Let's meet again another day. There won't be any deviation. Also, I hope that our cooperation will last for a long time. We're willing to work with you for a long time. After Night Sorrow finished speaking, Swaying Woman took the initiative to speak first. Not to mention Night Sorrow's potential and luck, just the ancient coffin on him was invincible among the heavenly supreme level. She felt very safe working with Night Sorrow. Wu Hua was already Swaying Woman's subordinate, so he naturally had no objections to this matter. As for Su Lei and the others, they were already Night Sorrow's subordinates, so there was no need to mention them. After the chaotic heavenly crystal beast finished making arrangements for Yun Yi and Xian Nian, Night Sorrow went into seclusion and summoned the lower half of the Eternal Divine Tower. After entering it, according to Little Seven's instructions, he began to absorb energy in the space that was accelerated by 10 times. In the accelerated space, he continuously absorbed for 1,000 years. Night Sorrow felt his aura change, and he successfully advanced to the level of Upper Earthly Supreme. He was not far from the peak of Earthly Supreme. After that, Night Sorrow left the lower half of the Eternal Divine Tower and successfully transcended the tribulation in the sky above his residence. Ha ha ha. Congratulations, Brother Knight, for successfully advancing to the next level. At our level, it's not easy to advance even a single step. It's worth celebrating. After Night Sorrow successfully transcended the tribulation, Yun Yi congratulated him. Haha. Thank you, Brother Yun. Night Sorrow smiled and said, let's not go home until we're drunk today. Okay. Then let's not go home until we're drunk. Also, there's one more thing that I'd like to ask you to vouch for. Yun Yi said at this moment. Oh. What is it? Brother Yun, please tell me. Night Sorrow said, puzzled. It's like this. Brother Xian Nian and I are not from Lu Tian Academy. We've been staying here for a long time, so we don't have much freedom to move around. Therefore, we want to apply for an area within Lu Tian Academy's sphere of influence to do some things. We need you to vouch for this. Yun Yi said slowly. Then, Xian Nian added, in Lu Tian Academy's sphere of influence, we don't have to worry about the Sea Dragon King coming after us. Also, we're very close to Brother Knight, so we can take care of each other. I see. No problem. Wait for me to ask the elders about this. Night Sorrow naturally did not object to this matter. He immediately sent a voice transmission to Elder Su, who had once taken care of him. Chapter 32:14. Night Demon, why are you looking for me? Elder Su replied immediately after receiving Night Sorrow's voice transmission. There was a hint of surprise in his tone. To him, Night Sorrow was definitely someone he could befriend. He did not treat him as an ordinary junior. Elder Su, it's like this. I have 2 friends who want to seek a place to stay in the area controlled by Lu Tian Academy. I wonder what I can do to help them? Yi Sheng asked. He had never done any research on this matter, so he really didn't understand. However, he was very enthusiastic about this matter because it was a good thing for Yun Yi and Xian Nian to develop nearby. They could establish their own forces in the Lu Tian Academy area. Perhaps in the future, they would be the main force of the Eternal Supreme World against the Foggy area. Hearing this, Elder Su smiled and said, that's easy. You can use your points to exchange for a territory for them. That's it. So you can use points to exchange for a territory. After Elder Su finished speaking, Night Sorrow immediately asked, how should I exchange for it? Wait for me at my residence. Elder Su rushed to Night Sorrow's residence after he finished speaking. Before long, he arrived. Seeing Elder Su slowly descending from the void, Night Sorrow hurriedly went up to him and said, Night Demon greets Elder Su. Night Demon, there's no need to be so polite. Elder Su was still very polite to Night Sorrow. After greeting him, he said, I'll take you to the exchange office. The exchange office is not on your mountain peak. If you go there on your own, I'm afraid you'll get into trouble. This is a hurdle that every new batch of students has to face. Thank you for taking care of me, Elder Su. Hearing this, Night Sorrow understood that the exchange office was in the public area where the other batches of students would appear. If Elder Su did not bring him along, with his current strength, he might be at a disadvantage if he encountered a powerful opponent. After all, Lu Tian Academy did not prohibit students from fighting. We're here. The exchange office is right in front. The territory you need to exchange for won't cost many points. Moreover, it's on the first floor, so there's no exchange limit. However, the size of your territory depends on how many points you spend. With Night Sorrow in tow, the two of them arrived at the Treasure Exchange Pavilion in the Slaughter Heaven Academy after flying for a few dozen breaths. Although it was called a loft, from afar, it looked like it was connected to the sky. The clouds only covered the third floor of the loft. It's a little too casual to call such a lofty pavilion the Exchange Pavilion. Looking at the exchange loft from afar, Night Sorrow exclaimed in admiration. This was personally made by the Limitless God. Limitless Supremacy doesn't care about trifles. He felt that it was the same name, so he just casually wrote this name on it. When Elder Su mentioned Limitless God, his face was filled with reverence. Then, he continued, although the name of this pavilion is simple, it's very simple. But you must not underestimate him. The highest floor of the 9-storied pavilion could even be used to exchange for resources that could allow one to advance to half-step to the Supreme Realm. And a broken Supreme Class Divine Artifact. Very impressive. You can even exchange it for a broken Paramount Divine Artifact? Hearing this, Night Sorrow's interest was piqued. To him, the things he was most interested in were all items related to the Lammeter state. Of course there are, but the points are very exaggerated. You'll slowly understand in the future. Elder Su said with a smile, then continued, let's go. I'll bring you in to exchange for territory. Okay. Elder Su, please. Night Sorrow gestured to Elder Su. Then, he entered the first floor of the exchange pavilion with Elder Su. After entering the first floor, Night Sorrow felt as if he had entered a new world. It was very grand. He looked around and realized that the most central position was actually the arena. Around the arena were mountains and rivers. In the mountains and rivers, there were all kinds of battle pets, all of which could be exchanged. The periphery of the mountains and rivers was the place to exchange for divine artifacts. As for the other areas, they were at the outermost area and did not look very eye-catching. The Limitless God said it this way to let everyone understand that as a cultivator, the most important thing is strength, followed by battle pets and divine artifacts. As for the rest, they are all secondary. Do you understand? Elder Su immediately explained to Night Sorrow. This setting does make sense. I'll go and exchange for territory first, then we'll talk. With that, Yi Shang went to trade for a territory. At a glance, he realized that as long as he had enough points, he could exchange for a territory that was not inferior to a large sect. However, he was a little short on points, so he exchanged for a mountain that covered an area of 1,000,000 miles. Night Sorrow was quite satisfied with this mountain. Although it did not cover a large area, it was enough to develop his force. Hee hee. Night Demon. I thought you would hide in New Elegant Peak and not come out. Today, I've finally bumped into it. Just as Night Sorrow was about to show the map of the mountain to Elder Su, a cold voice suddenly sounded. Lin Dongqing? Hearing this voice, Night Sorrow immediately thought of Lin Dongqing. However, when he turned around, he realized that he did not know the person in front of him. Thus, he asked curiously, "Who are you?" "Ha ha ha. I'm the one who will kill you." After laughing, this person said arrogantly, "Xiao He, can you give me face and not make things difficult for Night Demon today? After all, he was brought here by me." Seeing this person standing in front of Night Sorrow, Elder Su immediately spoke. "Elder Su, it's not that I don't want to give you face. It's Night Demon who offended Brother Lin and then killed Fan Tu from our batch. He is the common enemy of all the students in our batch." Xiao He glanced at Elder Su and said coldly. It was obvious that he did not care about Elder Su at all. In fact, this was the case. Some forces did not care about ordinary elders like Elder Su at all. But you, a middle heavenly sovereign, want to attack an upper earthly sovereign. If word gets out, it will be a joke. Elder Su immediately put on a fake smile after being rebuked. Xiao He did not give him face at all, which made him very unhappy. In fact, this was also one of the reasons why Elder Su and Night Sorrow had become friends. A joke? Without strength, how dare you enter the exchange pavilion? If word gets out, it will be a joke. Xiao He said arrogantly after hearing Elder Su's words. At this time, Elder Su still wanted to say something. Night Sorrow stopped him and said, "Elder Su, you don't have to say anything. I think what Xiao He said makes sense. Everything still depends on strength. But he is a middle heavenly sovereign. You are still far from him." Elder Su said worriedly. Night Sorrow, who had been whispering to Elder Su, said contemptuously, "He is a middle heavenly sovereign, and he is just a fake. If he was really capable, how could he be suppressed by Lin Dongqing, a lower heavenly sovereign? Bastard. You are courting death." Hearing this, Xiao He immediately said angrily. Chapter 32:15. You don't have the right to judge whether I'm courting death or not. Night Sorrow looked at Xiao He and said disdainfully. Now, he knew that every student from the previous batch would make things difficult for him. Night Sorrow would not be polite to them. Haha. You're really blindly confident. Since you think I'm not qualified, then let's fight in the inner area. Do you dare? Xiao He saw that Night Sorrow was full of confidence and felt that he did not have the strength to back it up, so he challenged him directly. Night Demon, you've only joined Killer Heaven Academy for a short time. If you fight him, you might need to use your trump card. That's not good for you. At this time, Elder Su sent a voice transmission to Night Sorrow. He was a little worried that Night Sorrow would be defeated or even killed by Xiao He. Although Yi Shang seemed very confident, Luo Yunyang felt that the gap between the two of them was too great. Don't worry, Elder Su. I've learned some ultimate skills recently, and my strength has increased significantly. I shouldn't need to use that trump card to deal with him. Yi Shang explained to Elder Su via voice transmission. He felt that he did not need to use the ancient coffin to deal with Xiao He. This was not blind confidence, but a deduction based on the aura of the Sea Dragon Princes. Although Xiao He's cultivation was very high, his combat strength was only equivalent to the Sea Dragon King's fourth prince's strength. It was not enough to crush him. Elder Su was more or less relieved after Night Sorrow said that. He said, "Since you're confident, then I'll supervise the battle for you. Don't worry, I won't let him use any underhanded means. Go and fight." Thank you, Elder Su. The grudge between me and the previous batch has been completely formed. We can only rely on the battle to resolve it. Night Sorrow said, then looked at Xiao He and said, "I'll fight with you. It has nothing to do with whether I dare or not. To me, it's just whether I'm willing or not. It's not whether I dare or not, but whether I'm willing or not." How arrogant of you. Get on the stage. Fight with me. I'll let you know the price of arrogance. Xiao He said coldly. At the same time, he sent a voice transmission to Lin Dongqing and the others, informing them that he was going to fight Night Sorrow. After learning about this, Lin Dongqing and the other students from the previous batch quickly appeared on the first floor of the exchange pavilion. At this time, Night Sorrow and Xiao He had just made their moves, and both sides were still probing each other. With this move, Night Sorrow was able to make a name for himself in the sporting world. Xiao He's judgment was similar to his. Now that he had advanced to Upper Earthly Sovereign, he was fully capable of contending against them. Therefore, when he could fight back, he took his time to fight with his opponent. He had continuously received several of Xiao He's ultimate skills. Having Night Sorrow receive several of his ultimate techniques, Xiao He's face instantly turned red. He felt as if he had been slapped in the face. Originally, he had thought that he could kill Night Sorrow, who was an earthly sovereign, within 3 moves. But now, he realized that it was not easy to deal with him. More and more people came to watch the battle. Soon, around 100 spectating students and elders appeared around the arena. Seeing so many people watching the battle, Lin Dongqing frowned and sent a voice transmission to Xiao He, saying, "Xiao He, you are fighting with an earthly sovereign, and you can't even take the initiative to suppress him. Are you trying to embarrass us?" He was extremely displeased that Xiao He couldn't completely suppress Yishang. "Don't worry, boss, I will kill him today. You just have to wait and see," Xiao He replied to Lin Dongqing. Although he was stubborn, he was still shocked by Night Sorrow's strength. He had never thought that Night Sorrow, an earthly sovereign, could be so fast. Moreover, his combat power was indeed not weak. He had actually received 4 of his ultimate techniques, and nothing had happened. Hearing Xiao He's words, Lin Dongqing said angrily, "What we want is not only to kill him, but also to kill him to our heart's content. For words, end the battle quickly. Don't embarrass us this year." "Boss, don't worry. I just didn't use my strongest strength just now." Xiao He's face flushed with embarrassment after being reprimanded by Lin Dongqing. He wanted to quickly kill Night Sorrow in front of everyone. Hence, he used all his strength and burned his bloodline power. Burning your bloodline power, ready to fight with your life. Seeing that Xiao He had burned his bloodline power, Night Sorrow, who had already activated the Sea Serpent's Eye, said calmly. In the process of the battle, he had already figured out Xiao He's foundation. This person's aura was a little weak, and it was obvious that he had used some methods to advance to his current level. He must have been groomed by a big family through some means, and his foundation was not very stable. He was completely different from a cultivator like Lin Dongqing, who had grown up step by step. At the same time, Yishang also released the power of his soul to investigate the surrounding students and elders who were watching the battle. He did not forget that one of his main goals in entering the Lu Tian Academy was to help the Supreme Longevity sect find a suitable body. However, when he swept his gaze across the crowd, he was disappointed by everyone present. No one matched the label. "Bastard. You dare to be distracted while fighting with me, Xiao He. How dare you?" He realized that Night Sorrow had released his soul power to check on the surrounding students and elders. Xiao He immediately felt that he had been greatly provoked. Killing heaven and earth. With a loud roar, he executed his bloodline's ultimate technique and attacked Yi Sorrow. When Xiao He used this move, the void around Night Sorrow suddenly became distorted. It looked as if the sky and earth were collapsing. Good move. But when you use it, the effect is greatly reduced. Although Xiao He's move looked terrifying, Night Sorrow, who had used the 9 defiant steps, successfully dodged it. He then summoned the lower half of the Eternal Divine Tower and used it to attack. Boom! The attack from the lower half of the Eternal Divine Tower. It was a pure attack from a Middle Heavenly Supreme, and this attack was much stronger than Xiao He's attack. After the attack, it immediately blasted Xiao He, who was attacking, away. "I've said that your Middle Heavenly Supreme level is fake. You don't have much combat power." After sending Xiao He flying, Night Sorrow sneered and took the opportunity to use the Nirvana Heart Fire that he had learned from Su Lei. He blasted it out. Xiao He did not even have time to react before his soul was shattered. Xiao He. Seeing that Xiao He was killed, Lin Dongqing was so angry that he immediately roared. He did not expect that Xiao He, who had benefited the most from him, would be killed so easily by Night Sorrow. With a roar, Lin Dongqing stood in the middle of the field and looked at Night Sorrow. You win this battle. Next, you and I will fight. Night Demon, you have just fought. According to the rules of the Exchange Pavilion, you can choose to rest for today. It's not too late to fight another day. Seeing that Lin Dongqing had issued a challenge to Night Sorrow, Elder Su immediately sent a message to Night Sorrow. He told him the rules. If a cultivator who had fought in the Exchange Pavilion encountered a challenge, they could choose not to accept it. However, at this moment, Night Sorrow looked at Lin Dongqing and said, I agree to fight with you. Chapter 32:16. Ha ha ha. Night Demon. I have to say, although you're not very powerful, you're very courageous. Lin Dongqing was pleasantly surprised to hear that Night Sorrow was not afraid and had accepted his challenge. Courage and insight are things that I have never lacked. Night Sorrow laughed coldly and continued, but for now, I'm indeed weaker than you. You have to admit that. I can fight with you, but the time has to be the moment I leave New Elegant Peak. So you're stalling for time. Good. Let's see how much you've improved in a few hundred years. Let's fight to the death the moment you leave New Elegant Peak. Lin Dongqing calculated and confirmed that Night Sorrow was only a few hundred years away from opening New Elegant Peak. He said nonchalantly. According to his understanding, a few hundred years was nothing to a heavenly supreme. He felt that Night Sorrow could not rely on these few hundred years to surpass him. All right. Then it's settled. I still have something to do. Goodbye. After Yi Shang finished speaking, he and Elder Su left the exchange pavilion. They had just walked out of the exchange loft when some people in the loft started discussing. Everyone knew that Night Sorrow and Lin Dongqing were the top two people in the last two batches. The battle between them was extremely interesting. Not long after, the news spread throughout the entire Lu Tian Academy. It attracted the attention of everyone. While everyone was discussing this matter, Night Sorrow, who had settled down Yin Yi and Xian Nian, began his crazy mission journey. There were still a few hundred years left. He was prepared to complete all the hidden missions. With his current strength, it was slightly difficult to complete such missions. However, he was prepared to break through to peak Earthly Supreme and Heavenly Supreme in the process of completing the missions. However, there was one part of the hidden missions that was extremely difficult for him to complete. That was to ascend the Flaming Mountain. He was prepared to study this mission at the end. After that, Yi Shang entered the battleground of the Killer Heaven and cleared some of the missions that had been difficult for him to complete. 100 years later, he only had 3 missions left to complete. That was to become a Heavenly Supreme, ascend the Mountain of Flames, and kill one of the Holy Lords of the Eternal Supreme World's 4 great holy lands. After giving it some thought, Night Sorrow decided to take the lead and complete the mission of killing the Holy Land's holy leader. However, when he returned to the Eternal Paragon World, he was prepared to wait for the heaven-defying bead. Therefore, in the following years, he waited while cultivating. Occasionally, he would enter the battlefield of the Killer Heaven to fight. Finally, after more than 200 years, the heaven-defying bead had successfully reached the half-step paramount realm. Now that the heaven-defying bead had advanced to half-step paramount realm, its aura was completely different. Moreover, he had attracted a lot of attention as soon as he entered Killer Heaven Academy. Knowing that he was here to look for Night Sorrow, some of the powerful old fellows restrained their auras. Haha. Congratulations, Senior Heaven-Defying. Seeing that the heaven-defying bead had advanced to half-step extreme realm, Night Sorrow said happily, Senior has successfully advanced. We can return to the Eternal Supreme World. Yes. Once I'm done dividing the godly sea-calming steel, I'll return to the Eternal Sovereign World with you. After being away from home for so long, it was time to go back and take a look. I hope I can find Master this time. After the heaven-defying bead finished speaking, he asked for the godly sea-calming steel from Night Sorrow and divided it into several parts. After that, Night Sorrow gathered everyone and finished all the godly sea-calming steel that everyone should have. He brought Ape Tianlai, the chaotic heavenly crystal beast, and the heaven-defying bead to the eternal supreme world. As for Bai Mei Sanren, Yun Yi, and Xian Nian, they all stayed in the fog area to develop. While rushing towards the eternal supreme world, Night Sorrow kept absorbing the energy in the godly sea-calming steel. At the same time, he got Little 7, Little 8, and Little 9 to convert a part of it. He was prepared to use the Eternal Divine Tower's ability to help him improve his strength as soon as possible. As for the Golden Heavenly Halberd, it only received a small enhancement, allowing it to reach the peak of the Heavenly Supreme level. But it did not advance to half-step Paramount Realm. Night Sorrow, we're already very close to the Eternal Supreme World. You can use the power of merit to purify the evil aura around me. On this day, Night Sorrow was cultivating when the heaven-defying beads suddenly spoke. Night Sorrow looked around. Wasn't that right? They were only a day's journey away from the Eternal Supreme World. He immediately said, "Good. Senior heaven-defying bead, prepare to welcome your true self." Ha ha ha, good. The heaven-defying bead laughed and said. Then, amidst the laughter of the heaven-defying bead, Night Sorrow purified all the evil aura on his body. After the aura of the fog area was purified, the heaven-defying bead immediately transformed into a sword. He said to Night Sorrow, "Come, I'll carry you back to the Eternal Supreme World." Then, he let Night Sorrow stand on his body and flew back to the Eternal Supreme World with the appearance of sword flight. When they arrived at the Eternal Supreme World, Night Sorrow immediately came down and said, "Haha. Night Sorrow can't always stand on Senior's body." After Night Sorrow's aura changed back, the heaven-defying bead laughed and said, "Huh. Back then, it was here that I followed my master to battle. It was really satisfying." Master flew on his sword and killed hundreds of heavenly sovereigns in the fog area in a row. He also defeated Limitless Sovereign and forced the army of the fog area to retreat. That kind of style was really unparalleled. Now, I'm just reminiscing about the feeling back then. You got lucky. Senior Yen and Senior Heaven-defying bead, one man can hold back 10,000 men. Night Sorrow is impressed. Senior Heaven-defying bead, could it be that you were beaten down in the battle back then? Night Sorrow asked with a frown. He knew that in the battle back then, although Yen and the heaven-defying bead stopped Limitless Sovereign's army at the border. But the price they paid must be incomparably huge. Yes. Hearing this, the heaven-defying bead sighed and said, "But now, I'm back. This time, we not only have to resist the attack of the fog area, but also completely destroy the fog area. Let the Eternal Supreme World be peaceful forever." Actually, destroying the three Supreme Sovereigns is destroying the fog area. Currently, we are still a little far away. But it's not like we don't have a chance. Night Sorrow said firmly, then continued, "If we want to win, we have to unite the people of the Eternal Supreme World. Supreme Longevity and Senior Coiling Dragon Spear are already doing this, but I don't know how they're progressing." Coiling Dragon Spear? I know him. He's also called Coiling Dragon Spear, a divine weapon refined by Yen Heng. I remember that he was a supreme divine weapon back then. What kind of strength is he now? The heaven-defying bead asked. He still missed the Coiling Dragon Spear very much when they fought against the fog area back then. Senior Coiling Dragon Spear is the same as you, half-step Supreme Realm now, still a distance away from Supreme Realm. Night Sorrow said. He still respected seniors like Coiling Dragon Spear and the heaven-defying bead very much. Hearing this, the heaven-defying bead said, "Take me to see an old friend." "All right. We'll set off immediately. But first, I need to see my family." Night Sorrow said and rushed to the Grotto Heavens, wanting to see Jing Yun and Wu Lingfei. Night Sorrow still missed them very much. Chapter 32:17. When he arrived at the familiar grotto heavens, Knight Sorrow was surprised to find that it had been razed to the ground. Those grotto heavens of various sizes had all disappeared. He was shocked and worried for Jing Yun, Wu Lingfei, and the rest. After thinking for a while, Knight Sorrow immediately flew in the direction of the realm of gods. When he arrived at the realm of gods, he was shocked to find that the realm of gods was also empty. This made Knight Sorrow break out in cold sweat. What's wrong? What's going on? Seeing that the realm of gods had been occupied by broken walls and ruins, Knight Sorrow's heart was in his throat. Then he transmitted his voice to Jing Yun, Wu Lingfei, and the Supreme Longevity, but he did not get any response. This made Knight Sorrow so nervous that all the hair on his body stood on end. He knew that something big must have happened in the Eternal Supreme's world while he was away. When this happened, Jing Yun, Wu Lingfei, and the rest should not have been able to contact him. Otherwise, they would have thought of a way to inform him in the fog. There must have been a great battle, or even a great catastrophe. Seeing everything that had happened in the realm of gods, Tian and I frowned. Then he and Yuan Tianlai comforted Knight Sorrow together. Knight Sorrow carefully observed the ruins for a while, then went to the forbidden area of the hunting area to look for the stone coffin that he did not dare to touch before. But he found that the stone coffin was long gone. Just as Knight Sorrow was about to leave the forbidden area in disappointment, a golden demonic rock at the level of a lower supremacy suddenly flew over. Seeing him, Knight Sorrow felt a sense of familiarity and said, "It's you. Can you tell me what happened in the realm of gods?" This golden demonic rock was one of the rock eggs that Knight Sorrow had snatched back then. His lower supreme cultivation had already surpassed his parents and could be said to have surpassed his parents. After Knight Sorrow spoke, he turned into his human form and said, "All these years, I have been cultivating in a small world. When I reached the lower supreme level and returned, this place was already like this. However, from the clues left behind by my two brothers, we can see that there is no one else. Most likely, the stone coffin here suddenly opened, and many experts came out from it. They were the ones who launched the fierce attack on the Eternal Paragon realm. The stone coffin contains a world. Looks like that stone coffin is indeed the legendary ancient burial coffin." Hearing Golden Demonic Rock's words, Knight Sorrow immediately understood what was going on. At this moment, he was very worried for his family and friends. The Heavenly Realm's territory must have been destroyed. I wonder what the other territories are like. Should we go and take a look? The Golden Demonic Rock said. Just like Knight Sorrow, he had lost contact with all his friends and family. He felt a little desperate. Good. There was no time to lose. Enter my space paradise and I'll take you away. Thinking of the big and small grotto heavens and the god realm's territories that had been destroyed, Knight Sorrow immediately flew to other territories with the Golden Demonic Rock. He flew past more than 30 territories, and all of them looked like they had been through a battle. There were ruins everywhere. The more they flew, the more nervous Knight Sorrow became. There was even a kind of panic that he had not felt for many years. The territory in front seems to be fine. Just as Knight Sorrow was feeling depressed, Tian and I suddenly spoke. At this time, he had recovered to the half-step extreme state. The distance that he could perceive with his godly soul power was further than Knight Sorrow. Hearing this, Knight Sorrow suddenly became a little more energetic and flew in the direction that Tian and I was pointing at. At a glance, Knight Sorrow discovered that the territory in front of him was the Azure territory that he had some contact with before. He had even learned the other party's divine ability, Azure Sea Tide. He discovered that the Azure territory had not encountered any war and there were still holy spirits. Knight Sorrow immediately brought Tian and I, Ape Tianlai, and Golden Demonic Rock into the area where the Azure territory was located. In the Azure territory, they flew for about 2 hours. Knight Sorrow suddenly saw an undersea city in the ocean. He immediately flew toward the ocean. The ocean of the Azure territory was completely different from the Sea of Evil. The seawater was blue and looked very clean, just like colored glass. However, Night Sorrow was not in the mood to appreciate this. He entered the sea and immediately sped up toward the undersea city. Because the cultivators guarding the city were too weak and only had the strength of an intermediate hegemon, Night Sorrow didn't waste any time on them. He flew directly into the city to investigate the stronger cultivators. Using his godly soul power to investigate, Night Sorrow was surprised to discover that there was an earthly sovereign here, and it was a middle earthly sovereign. An earthly sovereign, and a middle earthly sovereign. When did the Azure Territory have such an expert? While Yi Shang was puzzled, he flew directly toward the middle earthly sovereign. It was not until Night Sorrow entered the other party's mansion that the middle earthly sovereign realized that there was an expert here. He shouted, "Who are you? You don't need to know who I am. As long as you answer my questions honestly, I will protect you from death." Night Sorrow glanced at the middle earthly sovereign and confirmed that he was from the Azure Territory. However, his aura seemed a little strange. He must have used some special method to raise his cultivation to such a level. Bastard. How arrogant of you. Die for this city lord. After Night Sorrow finished speaking, the middle earthly sovereign of the Azure Territory immediately flew into a rage and attacked Night Sorrow. Moreover, he had comprehended the attack from the Azure Ocean. You directly used the Azure Sea. It seems that you have an even more powerful secret art or superpower. If I'm not wrong, you must have sided with those people. Night Sorrow immediately deduced many things when the other party used the secret art that was modified through the Azure Sea. He felt that the Azure Territory was likely to have sided with those creatures that came out of the ancient coffin. Therefore, not only was the Azure Territory not attacked, but they also obtained many resources that could quickly increase their strength. He did not even have to deal with the attack in front of him. It seems that you are the remnant of those destroyed territories. Good, very good. If I take you down, it will be a great achievement that can be exchanged for a large amount of resources. After listening to Night Sorrow, the middle earthly sovereign's face suddenly burst into a maniacal smile. You overestimate yourself. Why don't you take a look at the people in front of you? You are just an earthly sovereign, and you dare to show off in front of us. Facing the person in front of him, before Night Sorrow could do anything, Yan Tianlai, who was beside him, directly attacked. Leave him alive. Night Sorrow realized that Yan Tianlia's attack was too fierce, and immediately roared. Haha. I haven't fought with an earthly sovereign for a long time, so I can't control my strength well. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Yan Tianlai laughed embarrassedly. The middle earthly sovereign in front of them was completely shocked. Chapter 32:18. The middle earthly sovereign of the Azure Territory, Lan Xinghe, did not expect that a heavenly sovereign would suddenly appear in his own city. When Yan Tianlai attacked, he was so frightened that he immediately stopped. He knelt on the ground and begged for mercy. Sir, please spare my life. I was blind. As he begged for mercy, he secretly used his God core strength to activate a piece of jade on his body. Yi Shang and the heaven-defying beast naturally noticed this, but they didn't stop him. For them, when a middle earthly sovereign summoned someone, he would definitely summon someone even more powerful. It might even be a creature that walked out of the ancient coffin. This was what they were most interested in. After Lan Xinghe begged for mercy, Night Sorrow immediately said coldly, "Tell me the current situation of the eternal supreme world. If you lie, your head will roll. My head will roll. When the lords arrive, you will be the ones to roll. I will let you be arrogant for a while." As Lan Xinghe thought to himself, he began to talk about everything that had happened in the eternal supreme world in the past few hundred years. It turned out that not long after Night Sorrow left, the world barrier in the ancient coffin was opened. A large number of otherworldly experts poured out from it. Although the eternal supreme world resisted under the leadership of Supreme Longevity and the rest. Among the otherworldly experts, there was a half-step to Supreme Realm expert. When this half-step to Supreme Realm expert appeared, many territories in the eternal supreme world chose to submit. After they submitted, they joined forces with the otherworldly experts to attack Supreme Longevity and the rest. Although the Eternal Supreme World had Coiling Dragon Spear and Supreme Longevity, they were still defeated. Supreme Longevity and Coiling Dragon Spear led a group of people to escape, but many others were captured or killed. After that, the territories that resisted the otherworldly experts were all destroyed. The territories that defected to the otherworldly experts were all rewarded and nurtured many heavenly sovereigns and earthly sovereigns. As for the two holy lands that defected to the otherworldly experts, Tian Shao territory and Celestial Extinction territory, they produced even more experts. Not to mention earthly sovereigns, even the number of heavenly sovereigns could not be counted on one hand. As for their holy masters, they had already reached the level of upper heavenly sovereign and were infinitely close to reaching the half-step to supreme realm. What made Night Sorrow slightly relieved was that the Life Extension Estate, which shared the Grotto Heaven with the Divine World Estate and the Jiao Xian Estate, did not choose to betray them. He fought alongside Supreme Longevity and the Coiling Dragon Spear to the very end before escaping with them. He had a certain level of integrity. I didn't expect that the people in the foggy area haven't attacked yet. My Eternal Supreme World has already been conquered by the alien race. When Yishang heard Lan Qingxiu finish speaking, he sighed and asked, "Do you know where Eternal Life Supreme and the others escaped to?" "I don't know. It's not just me. No one in the entire Eternal Paragon world knows about it. Otherwise, the Lords of the Outsiders would have gone after them long ago. Some people suspect that they have entered the foggy area." Lan Qingxi shook his head. What he said was the truth. Everyone in the Eternal Paragon world, including the Outsiders, was searching for the Supreme Longevity. However, they could not find their whereabouts. Many people suspected that they had escaped into the foggy area. This speculation had no basis, but they could not think of where the Supreme Longevity and the others could hide. "Do you know how the people in the Divine World Estate are doing?" Night Sorrow waited for Lan Qingxi to finish before asking about the situation in the Divine World Estate. Jing Yun and Wu Lingfei were not the only ones in the Divine World Estate. There were also Shao Tianxian, Myriad Sword Sect, Jin Xian, Zhu Feng, Supreme Golden Crow, and many other seniors. They were the ones he cared about the most. "I'm not sure. The Divine World Estate is not very eye-catching. I don't pay attention to them." Lan Qingxi continued, "I know quite a bit about the alien race." "Then tell me more about the Outsiders. How many of them are there? How strong are they? Where are they now?" Night Sorrow asked. He knew that there would be a huge battle between him and the alien race. It was necessary to know about them beforehand. The alien race is called the Heaven Deceiving Tribe, also known as the Heaven Deceiving Tribe. They have countless experts. The most powerful one is Marquis Lang Wu, who is half a step to the Supreme Realm. His battle prowess could reach the heavens. Even the Coiling Dragon Spear is no match for him. Lan Qingxi said respectfully. He was very afraid of the alien race. At this moment, he received a voice transmission from the Heaven Deceiving Tribe's expert. They were not far away, and he asked him to delay Night Sorrow and the others. Lan Qingxi immediately replied, "Sir, I will try my best to delay them and not let them leave." After that, he continued to chat with Night Sorrow and the others. He talked about their guesses about Yan's whereabouts. "Oh, you know something about Yan Jizuan?" Hearing Lan Qingxi mention some legends about Yan, Night Sorrow immediately asked. He knew that this was what the heaven-defying bead was most interested in. "I heard some rumors. I know a little." Lan Qingxi looked at Night Sorrow and then at Yan Tianlai. As he cursed in his heart, he continued, "Legend has it that Yan Jizuan is resting in a sacred mountain in the Eternal Supreme World. Recuperating in seclusion on a divine mountain? Which sacred mountain?" Night Sorrow glanced at Lan Qingxi and scolded, "Tell me everything at once." "Yes. Yes." Lan Qingxi replied. He cursed Night Sorrow countless times in his heart. However, he kept saying, "The legendary Purple Jade Sacred Mountain. It's just that no one can find where this purple jade sacred mountain is. Purple jade sacred mountain? Senior heaven-defying, have you heard of it? Night Sorrow asked the heaven-defying bead through voice transmission after Lan Qingqi finished speaking. The current heaven-defying bead was restraining his aura and suppressing his aura. Otherwise, Lan Qingqi would not have been suppressed by his divine realm until he could not speak. Purple Jade Sacred Mountain, this name sounds familiar. But I'm not my complete self, so I can't remember it clearly. The heaven-defying bead said regretfully. Sigh. The situation was a little confusing. Originally, I just wanted to come back to see my family and complete a mission. Looks like there are a lot of things that need to be done. Night Sorrow sighed. Originally, he thought that with the coiling dragon spear, supreme longevity could easily unify the eternal supreme world. But he did not expect a heaven-deceiving tribe to appear halfway and make the eternal supreme world a colonized land. For now, it's best for us to find supreme longevity and the coiling dragon spear and join forces with them to kill the experts of the heaven-deceiving tribe. Then, lead the remaining forces of the eternal supreme world and kill all the traitors. Take back the eternal supreme world. The heaven-defying bead frowned and sent a voice transmission to Night Sorrow. He did not expect that his hometown, which he had not seen for a long time, had completely fallen. His heart was heavy. These things must be done. But to me, the most important thing is to find out the whereabouts of my family and friends. The heaven-deceiving tribe is almost here. We'll talk about other things after we take them down. Sensing that the heaven-deceiving tribe was not far away, Night Sorrow said coldly. Chapter 32:19. When he said this, Night Sorrow did not use telepathy. Therefore, Lan Qingqi heard it clearly. He stopped smiling and looked at Night Sorrow. You know that the heaven-deceiving strange tribe, no, the heaven-deceiving deity tribe is coming. You still dare to be so arrogant. You are really courting death. It seems that in your heart, the heaven-deceiving strange tribe cultivators are invincible. Night Sorrow looked at Lan Qingqi and sneered. Hearing this, Lan Qingqi said proudly, of course. The heaven-deceiving deity tribe has the ability to reach heaven and earth. It is the honor of the eternal supreme world to be their servant. His words seemed to come from the bottom of his heart. It made Night Sorrow feel a little nauseous. He said disdainfully, being someone's servant is an honor. The future of the eternal supreme world no longer needs slaves like you. The future of the eternal supreme world belongs to the heaven-deceiving deity tribe. What does it have to do with you? At this moment, a cold voice sounded. Yishang lifted his eyes to look at the sea and saw more than 10 heavenly sovereigns flying down from the sea. Heaven-deceiving deity tribe? You guys are really good at flattering yourselves. Hearing this, Yen Tianlai immediately shouted in disdain. Although there were more than 10 heavenly sovereigns, he knew that with the heaven-defying beast and Night Sorrow around, nothing would be a problem. Naturally, he was not afraid of them. Bastard! How dare you insult the deity tribe? You are a fugitive from the eternal supreme world. You will definitely be punished cruelly. Before the heaven-deceiving strange tribe people arrived, a voice shouted arrogantly. Hearing this, Lan Qingqi looked at Yen Tianlai with sympathy and said, you are finished. You will be subjected to the cruelest torture in the world. Even death will become a luxury. No one in the world can protect you. You're such a good dog. How could Lan Qing have finished speaking? Yen Tianlai scolded him and slapped him on the head. Half of Lan Qingqi's head was smashed, causing him to roar in pain. However, the vitality of an earthly sovereign was still very tenacious. Even though half of Lan Cheng's head was smashed, he did not die immediately. How dare you lay your hands on a servant of the deceiving deity race? That's an additional crime. Yen Tianlai smashed Lan Qingqi's head. The heaven-deceiving outsider race's people were too far away to help, so they shouted coldly. Another crime? You guys sure talk big. Do you think this world already belongs to your heaven-deceiving race? The people of the sky-deceiving tribe gave off a feeling of superiority, which made Yen Tianlai very unhappy. The heaven-defying bead had been watching coldly from the sidelines. However, in his eyes, the cultivators of the god race who had come to bully the heavens were all dead. Upon hearing Ape Tianlia's words, the members of the sky-deceiving tribe replied haughtily, "The eternal realms naturally belong to the sky-deceiving divine tribe. We are the new masters of this world. Do you have any objections to this matter?" "Objection, my ass. Die." When the heaven-deceiving outsiders approached, Yen Tianlai, who was in a bad mood, roared and attacked them. Night Sorrow took out the lower half of the eternal divine tower and used it to attack. Lower heavenly sovereigns and upper earthly sovereigns. No wonder you guys are so arrogant. Do you think that lower heavenly sovereigns and upper earthly sovereigns are very strong in the eyes of barbarians like you? Let me tell you, there are tens of thousands of cultivators in the heaven-deceiving divine tribe who are stronger than you. The leader of the heaven-deceiving tribe was a cultivator with 3 horns on his head. His cheeks were smeared with bright red blood. He looked extremely evil. He had the cultivation of a middle heavenly sovereign, so he looked disdainfully at Night Sorrow and Yen Tianlai, who were fighting. In his eyes, Night Sorrow and Yen Tianlai were 2 barbarians who had never seen the world. The god race is mighty. Lan Qingqi, who was standing at the side, immediately shouted when he saw the people of the heaven-deceiving tribe approaching and fighting with Night Sorrow and the others. In his opinion, once the people of the heaven-deceiving tribe started fighting, Night Sorrow and Yen Tianlai would no longer have the chance to attack them. He had already been saved, so he was very excited. Boom! Just as Lan Qingqi was shouting happily, Night Sorrow used the eternal divine tower to attack and send a cultivator of the heaven-deceiving tribe flying. As the cultivator was sent flying, Night Sorrow took out his golden heavenly halberd, which was already at the peak of the heavenly sovereign level, and smashed the cultivator's dantian. After smashing the cultivator's dantian, Night Sorrow said coldly, "Judging from your tone, you are like undefeatable gods of war. How can you be so weak? Won't you die when your dantian is smashed?" After smashing the cultivator's dantian, Night Sorrow crushed the cultivator's divine soul before anyone could react. He had killed him completely. How dare you kill a member of the god race? You will suffer the most terrifying punishment in the world. Take him down. The leader of the heaven-deceiving tribe said furiously. To him, the cultivators of the eternal sovereign world were a bunch of trash. He felt that it was not worth it to have one of his subordinates killed by trash. What are you so excited about? All of you must die today. Night Sorrow said murderously when he saw the heaven-deceiving tribe leader's anger. The other party was still acting high and mighty at this moment, which made him very unhappy. Die? It won't be so easy for you to die. After the leader of the heaven-deceiving tribe spoke, they immediately surrounded Night Sorrow. The number of cultivators dealing with Yen Tianlai was reduced to 1. You left only 1 person to deal with me? You are looking down on me. Die. Seeing that the heaven-deceiving tribe only used 1 person to deal with him, Yen Tianlai immediately flew into a rage. Although he had not entered the Heaven Slaughtering Academy, he was still one of the geniuses of the Fog region. Being ignored like this, he immediately exploded. He directly burned his bloodline power and tore the heaven-deceiving tribe cultivator in front of him into pieces. This is the result of looking down on me. After tearing the heaven-deceiving tribe cultivator into pieces, Yen Tianlai roared at the sky. You have guts. How dare you kill the lord of the heaven-deceiving tribe? You will die a horrible death. Lan Qingqi said in disbelief when he saw Night Sorrow and Yen Tianlai kill the heaven-deceiving tribe cultivators one after another. Clearly, what Night Sorrow and Yen Tianlai did was beyond his imagination. A piece of trash like you is really born with the enslavement bone. There's no value in your existence. However, I will leave you alive until all these heaven-deceiving tribe cultivators are dead. Lan Qingqi was so enraged that Yen Tianlai almost choked. At this moment, the leader of the heaven-deceiving tribe roared coldly, "You killed 2 warriors of the god tribe in a row. You really have guts." After roaring, he cooperated with the other heaven-deceiving tribe cultivators and attacked together. They surrounded Night Sorrow and Ape Tianlai and launched a flurry of attacks. Under such circumstances, Yen Tianlai looked at Heaven Defying and said, "Senior, why aren't you attacking?" Chapter 32:20. I'm thinking about how to torture and kill these pieces of trash to be cruel enough. They have already completely ignited my anger. Tian and I said coldly when he heard Yen Tianlia's words. Who do you think you are? How dare you boast so shamelessly? The triangular leader of the heaven-deceiving race was enraged when he heard Tian Ni's words. Until now, he still had a premonition in his heart. Ha ha ha. Hearing this, before Tian and I could speak, Yen Tianlai laughed loudly. In his opinion, this leader of the heaven-deceiving race was really reckless. Senior Tian and I. We only need to leave a leader and an ordinary heaven-deceiving race member behind. At this time, Night Sorrow was being besieged by a group of heaven-deceiving race heavenly sovereigns and felt a little pressured. Hence, he asked Tian and I to attack. All right. Then kill them first, then think about how to torture this fool in front of me. Tian and I replied and then directly released a half-step extreme realm divine domain. He attacked continuously at the heaven-deceiving race members. In front of a half-step extreme realm expert, how could these heavenly sovereigns in front of him have any ability to resist? They were quickly killed by Tian and I. Seeing Tian and I start a massacre, Lan Qingxi was scared out of his wits. He did not say a word for a long time. The leader of the heaven-deceiving race was also stunned. He looked at Tian and I with astonishment and said, "Why, you're a half-step extreme realm expert. Only now did I realize that your eyesight is really bad. Didn't you want to torture Night Sorrow and Yen Tianlai? Why haven't you attacked yet?" Tian and I looked at the triangular leader of the heaven-deceiving race and said, "Don't think that you're invincible just because you're a half-step extreme realm expert. To my heaven-deceiving race, dealing with you isn't that difficult. Now, I'll give you a chance to join my heaven-deceiving race." The triangular leader of the heaven-deceiving race was still very nervous facing Tian and I. But after calming down for a while, he forced himself to be calm and said, "You want me to join your heaven-deceiving race? Ha, who do you think you are? Are you worthy?" Tian and I laughed disdainfully when he heard the other party's words. At this time, the triangular leader of the heaven-deceiving race still wanted to say something. But Night Sorrow interrupted, "Enough nonsense. Now, I'll ask you a question, and you'll answer me via voice transmission. If you hesitate, you will immediately suffer the cruelest treatment. Don't even think about getting anything out of me." When Night Sorrow spoke, the triangular leader of the sky-deceiving tribe immediately spoke disdainfully. But with the heaven-defying bead here, he had no intention of escaping at all. Noisy. As soon as the triangular leader finished speaking, Ape Tianlai immediately tore off one of his arms. However, the leader of the heaven-deceiving alien race was quite unyielding. Although he was grimacing in pain, he still didn't say anything. Not good. He's transmitting his voice to the other heaven-deceiving alien races. Night Sorrow saw the triangular leader of the heaven-deceiving tribe and quickly reacted. He understood that this fellow didn't run or speak because he was transmitting his voice to the other heaven-deceiving alien races. He immediately made his move and killed him. After he killed the triangular leader, Night Sorrow gazed at the last remaining member of the Heaven Deceiver race and said, "You'll have a chance to live if you answer my questions honestly." That's right. Since they can join your heaven-deceiving race, then your heaven-deceiving race can join us too. Ape Tianlai opened his mouth wide and said, "If you don't answer our questions properly, I'll eat you directly." What do you want to ask? The last remaining cultivator of the heaven-deceiving tribe forced himself to remain calm. Before he came here, he had a premonition. But now, he didn't dare to be arrogant at all. "Let me ask you, do you know what happened to the people from the divine world? Did they escape with the supreme longevity, or? Night Sorrow didn't finish his sentence. But this cultivator of the heaven-deceiving tribe called Dark Touch clearly understood what he meant. He knew that Night Sorrow came from the divine world. After thinking for a moment, he said, "The divine world you're talking about is the same as the supreme longevity. Some of them died in battle, but most of them escaped with the supreme longevity. There are also a few who were captured and imprisoned in the heavenly owl territory. Do you know the names of those who died in battle and those who were captured in the divine world?" Night Sorrow asked worriedly. Actually, he knew that the other party wouldn't know such things, but he still tried to ask. "I'm not sure about that. It's already not easy for us heaven-deceiving tribe to remember tens of thousands of your territories. How can we remember people's lives?" Dark Touch said helplessly. "What else do you know? Tell me everything." This answer was what Night Sorrow had expected. He didn't ask and continued. "Yes, sir." Dark Touch didn't dare to resist Night Sorrow's words at all. He opened his mouth and told him everything he knew. It turned out that the heaven-deceiving tribe's cultivators had set up their headquarters in the Jiu Xian territory and Ming Yen territory. They also had people in the Heavenly Owl territory and the Immortal Extinction territory. There were also many heaven-deceiving tribe cultivators patrolling the Eternal Supreme World. They were one of the patrolling groups. "Let's go to the Heavenly Owl territory to save people." After the heaven-deceiving tribe's Dark Touch finished speaking, Night Sorrow immediately looked at Tian Ni and Yen Tian Lai and said, "Okay. We'll save the people in the Divine World territory with you." After Night Sorrow finished speaking, Tian Ni and Yen Tian Lai responded at the same time. Night Sorrow and the two of them, under the lead of Dark Touch, rushed to the Heavenly Owl territory. Night Sorrow asked Dark Touch about the overall strength of the heaven-deceiving tribe. Hearing this question, Dark Touch, who had already made a heavenly Tao oath, immediately told him about the overall strength of the heaven-deceiving tribe. It turned out that there were still many people in the ancient coffin who hadn't come out. As for the half-step extreme realm experts, they had a total of 3. Now, only one of them had come to the Eternal Supreme World to fight. As for the location of the ancient coffin, Dark Touch didn't know at all. A cultivator of his level couldn't come into contact with that kind of secret. After this matter, Dark Touch said, "Sir, I've been to the Heavenly Owl territory before. The guards are very tight and the defensive array is very powerful. It's not suitable to barge in. But if you can transform into the appearance of the heaven-deceiving tribe, it'll be much easier to sneak in. It's a pity that those heaven-deceiving tribe cultivators were all killed by me. Otherwise, I could refine them into puppets." Tian Ni said with some regret. "So what if they were killed? The heaven-deceiving tribe is now occupying our Eternal Supreme World. Aren't there many teams patrolling? We'll just find another team to attack." After Night Sorrow finished speaking, he, Tian Ni and the rest went to find the heaven-deceiving tribe team. They were prepared to kill them and refine them into puppets. Chapter 32-21. Haha. These heaven-deceiving other race cultivators should be used to running amok. Let them have a taste of being hunted. Deciding to find the heaven-deceiving other race cultivators, Yen Tian Lai rubbed his fists and said, Eternal Supreme World was his hometown. After returning after tens of millions of years, it was occupied by the heaven-deceiving other race cultivators. This made him, who had a violent temperament, very unhappy. As for Dark Touch of the heaven-deceiving other race, he struggled a little in the beginning. But after finishing off a small team, he gradually let go of his former identity. After all, he had made a heavenly Tao oath and could not disobey Night Sorrow and Yen Tianlia's orders. By the time they arrived near Heavenly Owl territory, they had already killed 5 small teams and dozens of heaven-deceiving other race cultivators. After killing many heaven-deceiving other race cultivators, Night Sorrow did not want to expose himself in Heavenly Owl territory. He subdued 6 to 7 ordinary heaven-deceiving other race cultivators and purified them with the power of merit. When preparing to enter Heavenly Owl territory, he controlled the heaven-deceiving other race captain puppet while Dark Touch and the rest all used the heaven-deceiving other race perfected one. This way, the possibility of being exposed would be much lower. And after Night Sorrow and the rest consecutively killed the heaven-deceiving other race teams, it directly caused a huge shock in Eternal Supreme World. Because at this time, the remaining 4,000 plus territories in Eternal Supreme World were all subservient to the heaven-deceiving other race. Once this matter was spread out, he would be able to make a decision. Night Sorrow, who was controlling the puppet, put Heaven Defying and the rest into the spatial grotto Heaven and came to Heavenly Owl territory under the guise of looking for suspicious people. Lords, what business do you have in Heavenly Owl territory? After Night Sorrow and the rest, who had transformed into the heaven-deceiving other race, appeared, Heavenly Owl territory sent 3 to 4 elders in charge of receiving them. One of them was Heavenly Owl territory's Grand Elder, Feng Shuyuan. Usually, he was called Heavenly Supreme Shuyuan by the people of Eternal Supreme World. In fact, he had already heard of the commotion outside and was still somewhat nervous at this time. The people of Heavenly Owl territory were even more afraid of the heaven-deceiving other race than Night Sorrow imagined. The former Holy Land is really unbearable. In the Holy Land, they were ranked in the top few and could practically call the shots. But in the face of a heaven-deceiving other race captain, they were actually so humble. How can they be worthy of being called a Holy Land? Night Sorrow, who was controlling the team leader puppet, said in disdain in his heart. He then said coldly, recently, my god race's patrol teams have been killed one after another. I'm here to track down the murderer. Dark Touch, tell me what's going on. He felt that since he was a fake, it would be better for him to speak as little as possible. Thus, he let the dark contact fill in the blanks. This would obviously increase the authenticity of the matter. Yes, sir. When Dark Touch heard this, he immediately understood. After responding, he began to speak in an overbearing manner. How could something like this happen in the current eternal sovereign world? This matter cannot be tolerated, absolutely not tolerated. Heavenly Sovereign Shu Yuan let out a sigh and promised, esteemed emissaries, I'm here. This matter absolutely has nothing to do with my Heavenly Owl territory. The sun and moon can bear witness to the loyalty of my Heavenly Owl territory to the deceiving deity race. Whether or not your loyalty can be witnessed by the sun and the moon can only be confirmed after an investigation. Blood School Sickle had encountered those murderers and successfully escaped. If he saw the murderer again, he would be able to recognize him. You call everyone in Heavenly Owl territory out. Let them identify him. If there's no problem, the god race naturally won't haggle with you. Night Sorrow, who had already thought of how to deal with this matter in his heart, opened his mouth and said slowly. Although his voice was not very loud, his aura was ample, containing the domineeringness of the deceiving deity race inside. Esteemed emissary. My Heavenly Owl territory has a total of several tens of thousands of people from top to bottom. Wanting to gather all of them will likely require a large amount of time. After Night Sorrow finished speaking, Heavenly Sovereign Shu Yuan revealed an awkward expression. Very clearly, to their Heavenly Owl territory, being casually investigated by a heaven-deceiving deity race squad was the greatest humiliation. If they gathered all of the several tens of thousands of people, that Heavenly Owl Holy Lord would have nowhere to put his face at all. Do you mean to make my god race send out several tens of thousands of people to investigate this matter? Don't forget how you yourself advanced to Heavenly Sovereign. Does the current Heavenly Owl territory feel that its wings are fully fledged and ready to resist the god race? After Heavenly Sovereign Shu Yuan finished speaking, the Dark Touch who received Night Sorrow's instructions berated coldly. Dare not. Dare not. Everyone, don't misunderstand. Shu Yuan doesn't mean that. Hearing this, beads of sweat directly flowed down Heavenly Sovereign Shu Yuan's forehead. Pausing for a moment, he continued, I can't decide on this matter. Why don't everyone go and have a talk with the Lord Holy Lord? The impact of this matter was huge. If Heavenly Sovereign Shu Yuan rashly gathered all of the Heavenly Owl Territory's cultivators and allowed them to be investigated by the heaven-deceiving deity race, that would be a huge humiliation. Although they had already surrendered, they were also unwilling to do so. It should have been like this long ago. If you can't make the decision, what are you talking nonsense for? Towards Heavenly Sovereign Shu Yuan, the heaven-deceiving deity race's blood school sickle scolded disdainfully. Due to being born in the heaven-deceiving deity race, these people were not required to swear heavenly Tao oaths and so on at all. But at this time, they had already sworn an oath to be loyal to Night Sorrow. If they violated it, they would immediately be bombarded by heavenly Tao laws. The few of them were still considered loyal up until now. Taking in their performance, Night Sorrow thought to himself, these heaven-deceiving deity race cultivators are really easy to control. Much easier to control than those in the eternal supreme world. I wonder if I can make their entire race submit completely if I have enough strength. And then help us fight against the fog region. He knew in his heart that currently, he did not have the ability to make the heaven-deceiving deity race submit, but he had already secretly planted the seed of this in his heart. After Heavenly Sovereign Shu Yuan was reprimanded, although he was somewhat dissatisfied, he did not dare to show it at all. After replying politely, he went to invite the Heavenly Owl Territory's Lord Holy Lord. Night Sorrow, after the Heavenly Owl Territory's Lord Holy Lord appears, should I directly take action and control him? As long as I control him, saving people will definitely not be a problem. When Heavenly Sovereign Shu Yuan went to find the Heavenly Owl Holy Lord, the heaven-defying deity sent a voice transmission to Night Sorrow. We'll see the situation later and adapt according to the situation. Let's observe this Heavenly Owl Holy Lord's strength and attitude first. While Night Sorrow sent a voice transmission to the heaven-defying deity, he constantly used his divine spirit power to investigate everything around him. When he noticed the formation patterns, he used the sea serpent's eye to observe them. He discovered that the array formations in this reception hall in front of him were still very powerful. He was not too confident in taking action. Hence, he opened his mouth and said, if we take action later, we need to lure this Heavenly Owl Holy Lord out of here first. The array formations here are not easy to deal with. The array formations here shouldn't be able to stop me. If the Heavenly Owl Territory doesn't have a half-step extreme realm present, the moment this Heavenly Owl Holy Lord appears, he will be captured by me. At this moment, the heaven-defying deity said confidently. Chapter 32-22. Feeling that the array formation here could not trap him, Heaven-Defying was very confident in himself. In his view, there was a huge strength gap between half-step extreme realm and half-step extreme realm experts like him. This kind of gap was hard to make up for. No way. Heavenly Owl Territory, as one of the 4 great holy lands, should have a foundation and inheritance. We can't be careless at all. Although this Heavenly Owl Holy Lord didn't advance to half-step extreme realm, he might very well have a half-step extreme realm divine artifact in his hands. If we can activate it and combine it with the array formation to deal with us, then we might still fail miserably. Night Sorrow saw that Heaven-Defying was somewhat arrogant and immediately analyzed. Hearing this, Ape Tian Lai agreed and said, right. Caution is the parent of safety. What little brother ye said makes sense. Senior, we can't be too careless. This, all right then. Night Sorrow, I'll listen to your command. Whenever you let me take action, I'll take action at that time. Heaven-Defying, who similarly felt that Night Sorrow made sense, slowly opened his mouth and said. Although his strength was very strong, it was a divine artifact that gave birth to intelligence after all. In terms of intelligence, he was far from Night Sorrow's. Senior Heaven-Defying, I'll contend with this Heavenly Owl Holy Lord first and see if we can rescue the people without fighting. Currently, I have 3 strategies. One is to borrow the excuse of finding the murderer's mark and search within Heavenly Owl Territory. Another is to cause trouble without reason. The last one is naturally to directly take action against Heavenly Owl Holy Lord. Either way, there was nothing to do while waiting for Heavenly Owl Holy Lord. Night Sorrow continued transmitting. While Heaven Defying said in puzzlement, "'Cause trouble without reason? What method is that? Hoo-hoo. Causing trouble without reason is finding trouble and killing people. Make them take the initiative to hand over all the people they imprison and let us kill. But this method is somewhat hard to control." After Night Sorrow said this sentence, he carefully analyzed the human heart. After listening for a while, Heaven Defying and Ape Tianlai both expressed that their heads hurt, feeling that the third method was better. No need to exhaust brain cells at all, just directly do it and be done. Right at this time, Night Sorrow detected that someone rushed over and transmitted to Heaven Defying and Ape Tianlai, saying, "The two of you watch, I'll use the second method next. Make them submit." "Alright, let's wait and see." Yuan Tianlai chuckled. He couldn't see through Night Sorrow's tricks at all. As soon as Ape Tianlai finished speaking, the Sky Owl's Sacred Lord was led to the reception hall by Great Elder Heavenly Supremacy Shu Yuan. Following behind them were several white-haired and white-bearded elders. These elders were either Earth Supremes or Heavenly Supremes. Following behind the Sky Owl's Sacred Lord, they looked very imposing. Seeing these people come together, Night Sorrow, who was sitting on the chair, immediately became gloomy. He said, "Are you all here to scare me? Do you think the deity race is easy to bully? Ha ha ha. Lord Messenger, please don't misunderstand. I've brought people here to help you find out the truth." When Holy Lord Tian Shao heard Night Sorrow's words, he immediately laughed. His laughter was very warm, and no one could see any flaws in it. However, Yi Shang could sense that the other party's smile was like a needle in a velvet glove. It wasn't as easy to see through as Heavenly Supremacy Shu Yuan's. After thinking for a bit, Night Sorrow said coldly, "Are you all here to help us find out the truth? Very well. I'll give you 4 hours to hand over the murderer. Otherwise, we'll immediately make a move on your Sky Owl territory." "Sir Emissary, I'm afraid what you're saying is inappropriate. Although we hope to help you find the murderer, we definitely can't do it within 4 hours. Holy Lord Tian Shao replied coldly before continuing, "If Sir Emissary insists on forcing us, then I can only send a voice transmission to that sir." The sir he was referring to was naturally the half-step extreme grade powerhouse of the deity race. "Are you trying to test my confidence?" When Holy Lord Tian Shao finished speaking, Night Sorrow immediately reacted and had a certain idea in mind. Without any hesitation, he snorted coldly. "I don't care what method you use. If you can't hand over the murderer within 4 hours, bear the consequences." Scram! He had no intention of reasoning with Holy Lord Tian Shao at all. Furthermore, he had an appearance of being fearless. When the Sky Owl's Sacred Master was reprimanded in this manner, the elders behind him erupted with powerful killing intent. Clearly, they were all enraged. Seeing their performance, Night Sorrow said, brimming with killing intent, "What? As our divine race's dogs? Do you all feel that your wings have hardened and can resist now?" His attitude was completely like a master scolding his dog. "Not so. Your Excellency, the matter that you instructed, I'll immediately do it well. Your Excellency, please wait here." Holy Lord Tian Shao suppressed the many elders who were close to exploding, then said a sentence to Night Sorrow. "I'm just waiting for you all to give me an explanation. Remember, only 2 hours, otherwise, we'll immediately take action. If something happens to us here, each and every one of you will have to be buried with us." Toward this Holy Lord Tian Shao, Night Sorrow already had a way. His words were very sharp. 2 hours. 4 hours had turned into 2 hours. Really bullying people too far. Hearing Night Sorrow say 2 hours, Heavenly Sovereign Shu Yuan and the rest were on the verge of exploding. However, they did not dare to attack the heaven-deceiving alien race. They only released some killing intent. At this moment, Holy Lord Tian Shao said coldly, "We'll meet again in 2 hours." Then, he left the guest hall. After they left together, Yen Tianlai immediately sent a voice transmission to Night Sorrow. Why do I feel that this Holy Lord Tian Shao is not easy to deal with? I can't see through him at all. He seems watertight. But there's a flaw. That is, he doesn't have enough courage. Therefore, no matter what, he will choose to compromise. Since he has compromised, he must hand over the people to us. Night Sorrow said with a smile. They will hand over the people to make up the numbers? But how can you be sure that they will hand over the people from the divine world? Yen Tianlai asked, puzzled. That's very simple. No matter how many people they hand over, as long as the people from the divine world are not released, we will continue to ask for people. Night Sorrow said with certainty. This made Tian and I feel a little uneasy. He said, if this Holy Lord Tian Shao really contacts the leader of the heaven-deceiving alien race and finds out about us, what should we do? This Holy Lord Tian Shao is a big shot in the Eternal Supreme's world. However, in the eyes of the heaven-deceiving alien race, he is simply trash. It is impossible for him to have the qualifications to directly contact the leader of the alien race. Therefore, what he said just now was just a bluff. Night Sorrow had been analyzing every single detail during their previous contact. The biggest mistake that the Holy Lord Tian Shao had exposed was that sentence. Night Sorrow had only realized that he had completely taken the initiative after he said that sentence. Chapter 32-23. Amazing. I didn't expect you to be able to find a breakthrough from the other party's simple words. This kind of insight is simply unparalleled. After Night Sorrow finished speaking, Heaven-defying praised. He was very envious of this kind of observation. But after all, he was a spiritual intelligence born from a divine artifact. Although he was brave and unparalleled, it was impossible for him to completely grasp the ways of the world. It's indeed very amazing. This matter seems simple, but in fact, it's surging like a storm. Brother Night Sorrow's few words seem reckless, but it's flawless and didn't reveal any flaws at all. It can be said that in a direct confrontation, he suppressed Sky Owl's sacred master. Ape Tianlai also praised. As a bystander, he admired Night Sorrow's quick thinking. Haha. The two of you, stop praising me. You're making me feel a little embarrassed. Night Sorrow replied with a smile. Then, he instructed Dark Feeler, wait for 2 hours. If they don't give an explanation, I'll give the order and you guys will attack immediately. Whether it's the cultivators or the things you see, destroy them all. No problem, right? Don't worry, sir. We're completely familiar with doing these things. Seeing that Night Sorrow was worried that they wouldn't do it, Dark Feeler said with a murderous look. When they were invading the Eternal Supremes, they had destroyed thousands of territories. There was no psychological pressure to do such a thing at all. Night Sorrow nodded and didn't continue speaking because he thought of the Divine Realm behind the Divine Realm territory. After dealing with the matter at hand, he had to take a look at the passage and see if it had been discovered. Was the Divine Realm alright? While Night Sorrow was deep in thought, Sky Owl's sacred master was discussing countermeasures with some of the elders under him. Elders, how do you think we should deal with those foreign races outside? After a moment of silence, Sky Owl's sacred master looked at everyone present and asked. After Sky Owl's sacred master spoke, Great Elder Heavenly Sovereign Shu Yuan said, Sacred Master. In my opinion, there's no limit to their arrogance. Why don't we go all out and kill them all? If we kill all of them, how can we cover up this matter so perfectly that the heaven-deceiving outsiders won't notice? Sacred Master Tian Shao glanced at Great Elder Heavenly Sovereign Shu Yuan. He was rather interested in this suggestion. After all, as the Lord of a holy land, he had lost a lot of face just now. It was impossible for him to not bear a grudge. However, he did not realize that Night Sorrow was an impersonator from the heaven-deceiving tribe. Activate the formation. Don't give them any chance to transmit their voices. Just kill them directly. No one should notice. Heavenly Supreme Shu Yuan said firmly. According to his judgment, it shouldn't be too difficult for them to kill a small team of the heaven-deceiving tribe without anyone noticing. Killing them will definitely be an easy task. But how can you be sure that the heaven-deceiving race won't come looking for you? After all, they are already like this for things that have nothing to do with us. If something really happens to someone here. Another elder, Heavenly Sovereign Fan Lu, asked worriedly. He felt that the deceiving deity race would not reason with them at all. Even if they did not have concrete evidence, it was very likely that they would destroy the Heavenly Owl territory. The two elders' analysis is very reasonable. This makes things even more difficult for me. Sacred Master Tian Shao frowned even more after the two of them finished speaking. According to his plan, he intended to kill Yi Shan and the others. However, after hearing Heavenly Supreme Fan Lu's words, he did not have the courage to do so. At this time, Heavenly Owl Territory's Grand Elder, Heavenly Supreme Hu Qing Tian, said, "In my opinion, if they want people, we can just send out some casually and insist that they are the culprits. Wouldn't that be enough? Why risk the survival of the territory?" Oh. Does Grand Elder mean to casually find some scapegoats? Will they be satisfied with this? Great Elder Heavenly Supreme Shu Yuan asked doubtfully after hearing Heavenly Supreme Hu Qingtian's words. "In my opinion, those barbarians only want to kill. Give them more and let them kill as much as they want. I reckon they can get away with it." Heavenly Supreme Elder stroked his beard. This idea is not bad, but who should we give them? Heavenly Supreme Shu Yuan thought for a moment and felt that Heavenly Supreme Elder's idea was not bad. The others analyzed it and also felt that this idea was reliable. To satisfy the heaven-deceiving outsiders, they did not necessarily need the real culprit. Naturally, we can hand over some of the people who are fighting against the heaven-deceiving outsiders. This is completely reasonable. Heavenly Supreme Elder said with a face full of smiles, "Isn't the reason why we keep them alive so that we can use them in the future?" Good. Heavenly Supreme Elder's idea is good. Let's do that. After everyone discussed it, Sacred Master Tian Shao felt that this method was the least difficult. Moreover, it was the least easy to anger the heaven-deceiving outsiders. In the end, he decided to do this. After making up his mind, he added, "The world is full of people for profit. When you hand over the people, don't forget to give them some resources." "Don't worry, Sacred Master. Leave this matter to me." After Heavenly Supreme Elder said that, he called the Great Elder and went to get the people together. They were prepared to find the stronger cultivators among the captured cultivators in the various territories and hand them over. However, when they arrived at the prison where these people were locked up, they realized that these cultivators had basically been tortured beyond recognition. Suddenly, they felt that it would not be easy to hand in their mission. What should we do? It doesn't make sense to hand them over. Heavenly Supreme Elder frowned as he looked at the imprisoned cultivators in the various territories. "I feel that handing them over will give the outsiders some face. As for whether it will make sense or not, it's not too important." Great Elder Heavenly Sovereign Shu Yuan said nonchalantly. Heavenly Supreme Elder nodded and said, "That's right. Now, we can only treat this as a last resort. If the outsiders are unwilling to hand these people over, we will let the Sacred Master carry out another plan. Kill them all." Good. I will inform the Sacred Master now. Heavenly Supreme Shu Yuan said. With the help of Heavenly Supreme Elder, he took away the cage that was suppressing everyone. He brought it to Sacred Master Tian Shao. After taking the cage, Sacred Master Tian Shao said, "Let's do as Heavenly Supreme Elder and Heavenly Supreme Elder say. If we hand them over, they will retreat and the matter will be resolved just like that. If they don't know what's good for them, kill them all." Good. Sacred Master is mighty. After Sacred Master Tian Shao finished speaking, some of the elders present immediately greeted him. Then, Sacred Master Tian Shao brought the cage that had been refined into a Dharma artifact to Night Sorrow. He handed it to Night Sorrow and said, "Lord Messenger, I did not disappoint you. I captured some of the God race cultivators and brought them over. At the same time, he also handed Night Sorrow an additional ring. Inside the ring were rich cultivation resources. Chapter 32-24. 1 second to remember love on *U reading /book wonderful, no pop-up window free reading. What's going on with this ring? Night Sorrow took the cage and ring that had been refined into Dharma artifacts, and then checked the items in the ring. He found that there were many resources inside. At this moment, he snorted coldly. Lord Messenger, this is a gift from the Tianshao territory to you. The Tianshao Sacred Lord was actually extremely angry after being reprimanded. However, he was very shrewd and suppressed his emotions as he asked back. My god race doesn't lack resources at all. What's the use of giving me these? Don't forget how you guys advanced. Night Sorrow said with a disdainful smile on his face, appearing extremely arrogant. Then, without giving the Tianshao Sacred Lord a chance to speak, he looked at the Blood School Scythe and said, Blood School Scythe, check the cultivators in the cage. See if you've seen them before. Yes, Captain. Blood School Scythe took the cage that had been refined into a Dharma artifact, checked it, and said loudly, Captain. There's not a single female cultivator in the cage. That's not right. Logically speaking, the male cultivators who ambushed us are all here. How can there be no female cultivators? Tianshao Sacred Lord, what's going on? Hearing this, Night Sorrow looked at the Tianshao Sacred Lord and asked. In fact, he suddenly thought of Blood School Scythe's words. They deliberately did not want resources and wanted female cultivators, making the Tianshao Sacred Lord feel that they had come to cause trouble today just to get a few female cultivators. This was also in line with the character of the heaven-deceiving alien race. So you're not here to find the murderer, but to take the opportunity to blackmail female cultivators and prepare to molest them. A bunch of beasts. Night Sorrow and Blood School Scythe's behavior made the Tianshao Sacred Lord feel that he had grasped the main point. He secretly despised them in his heart and slapped his forehead. Lord Messenger, it's my negligence. I'll order someone to bring the female cultivators who assassinated you here. Go. Night Sorrow snorted coldly. Not long after, the Tianshao Sacred Lord appeared again with a cage containing more than 10 female cultivators. After taking over the cage to investigate, Night Sorrow discovered that these female cultivators were all female disciples of Heavenly Owl territory. He thought to himself, this Heavenly Owl Holy Lord is really shameless. In order to protect himself, he even sent out the female disciples of his territory. After that, he checked the cage again and found the first Vice City Lord of the God Realm's territory and Supreme Ancestor Phoenix inside. There were also 5 or 6 other Supreme Martial Artists. Night Sorrow immediately transmitted his voice, Senior Ancestor Phoenix, how many people were captured in the God World? Are they all in Tianshao territory? Night Sorrow. You're back. The eyes of Supreme Ancestor Phoenix, who was already extremely weak, instantly lit up when she realized that it was Yi Shang who had sent the voice transmission. It's me. I'm here to save you. Ancestor Phoenix, it's like this. Hurry up and answer my question. Time was of the essence. Night Sorrow could only make the long story short and let Supreme Ancestor Phoenix answer the question. Hearing this, before Supreme Ancestor Phoenix could speak, the first Vice City Lord said, Supreme Ancestor Phoenix is injured and is not in a good condition. Let me say it. Then, the first Vice City Lord began to talk about the God World's territory being attacked and how they were captured. Originally, most of the people in the God World's territory were with the people in the 9 mystical territory. Under the protection of Supreme Longevity and the Coiling Dragon Spear, they had already retreated in advance when the Heaven Deceivers launched a large-scale attack. As for the first Vice City Lord and Supreme Ancestor Phoenix, they were originally with Supreme Longevity and the rest, but they wanted to return to the God World's territory from the Grotto Heaven and inform the others to escape. However, on the way, they were captured by Tianshao territory's people. In that case, the people left in the God World's territory should have been captured or killed? Hearing this, Night Sorrow instantly felt terrible. There aren't many people in the God World's territory. Other than Supreme Golden Crow, there are about 10 other sovereigns. The number of casualties should be about 10. This can be considered a blessing in disguise. The first Vice City Lord said sadly. Before the fog could attack, the eternal Supreme World was almost destroyed by the Heaven Deceivers. This made him very sad. However, he was glad that the losses in the God World's territory this time weren't too great. What? Senior Golden Crow died, or was he captured? Hearing this, Night Sorrow's heart skipped a beat. The Supreme Golden Crow was a senior that he respected greatly. He would not be able to accept the death of the Supreme Golden Crow. The ones in charge of attacking the God World's territory are Tianshao territory. Since Supreme Golden Crow isn't in the cage, he either escaped or was killed. The first Vice City Lord said helplessly. Originally, he and Supreme Ancestor Phoenix had brought people to inform Supreme Golden Crow and the others. However, they were intercepted by Tianshao territory's people on the way. As for what happened when they attacked the God World's territory, no one knew at all. If he didn't escape, then he died. Tianshao territory and the Heaven Deceivers attacked the God World's territory together. No matter how strong Supreme Golden Crow is, it's hard for him to escape. After thinking silently for a while, Night Sorrow's heart ached. He knew that Supreme Golden Crow was most likely dead. He, who had already rescued the person and was preparing to escape, immediately changed his mind. He transmitted his voice to Tian and I, listen to my orders. I'm prepared to kill this Tianshao Sacred Lord here and avenge Supreme Golden Crow. Good. Today, we don't want a civil war, we also want a martial war. We must give this scum of Tianshao territory a fatal blow. Tian and I immediately responded. He also heard the first Vice City Lord's words and knew that Tianshao territory helped the Heaven Deceivers to attack the God World's territory. Lord Messenger, are you still dissatisfied? Just as Night Sorrow and the first Vice City Lord were communicating, Tianshao's Sacred Lord suddenly spoke. He realized that Night Sorrow was distracted and was afraid that he would make other plans. Night Sorrow, who was interrupted, immediately withdrew his mind and looked at Tianshao's Sacred Lord. Dissatisfied? There are some. However, Sacred Lord can lend me something to solve this matter. Oh. Lord Messenger, what do you want to borrow? There's no harm in saying so. Tianshao's Sacred Lord looked at Night Sorrow and cursed his greed in his heart. At this time, Night Sorrow sneered and said, I'll borrow your head. You're pretending to be a cultivator of the Heaven Deceivers. How dare you come to my Tianshao territory to cause trouble? They watched as Yi Shang suddenly released his divine domain and killing intent. This divine domain was clearly different from the aura of the Heaven Deceivers. He immediately determined that Night Sorrow was a cultivator from the Eternal Supreme World. At this point, he already knew that Night Sorrow's goal was to save the person in the cage. He immediately felt somewhat vexed. Senior Tian and I, Ape Tian Lai, come out. This Tianshao Sacred Lord must die today. After the Sky Owl's Sacred Lord finished speaking, he attacked Yi Shang. Yi Shang summoned the heaven-defying bead and Ape Tian Lai. The three of them attacked Tianshao's Sacred Lord together, preparing to kill him before alerting the others. Chapter 32-25. You want to kill me in the Sky Owl territory? Let's see how many heads you have. The Sky Owl's Sacred Master said disdainfully after unleashing his attack. He didn't care about Night Sorrow calling people out at all. It doesn't matter how many heads we have, as long as we can take your head. Night Sorrow had already activated the Treastrimsa Battle Mystic technique and activated the Green Phoenix battle armor. At the same time, he took out the ancient coffin and threw it at the Sky Owl's Sacred Lord to block his attack. This is... The Sky Owl's Sacred Lord, who had been blocked by the ancient coffin, was stunned. This ancient coffin looked very similar to the one that had walked out of the sky deceiving tribe. This scared him so much that he wanted to turn around and flee. You want to flee? With me here, do you think you can escape? The Sky Owl's sacred lord was stunned by the ancient coffin that Night Sorrow had summoned and was preparing to flee. The heaven-defying bead, who had just come out of the grotto heaven, immediately transformed into a sword and attacked. What? A half-step Supreme Realm expert. How is this possible? The Sky Owl's sacred lord panicked when he noticed that the heaven-defying bead was a half-step Supreme Realm expert. He didn't have the courage to fight at all. At the same time that he activated the array inscriptions in the guest hall, he used his strongest movement technique and prepared to charge out. You want to escape from me at such a close distance? Aren't you just deceiving yourself? The heaven-defying bead laughed disdainfully when he saw that the Sky Owl's sacred lord wanted to escape. When he transformed into a sword, his normal attack was about the same as when he used an ultimate technique in his human form. How could the heavenly owl's sacred lord withstand this attack? He was directly sent flying by this attack. Kill him directly. Don't show mercy. Night Sorrow shouted when he saw the Sky Owl's sacred lord being sent flying by the heaven-defying bead. He used the ancient coffin to smash the Sky Owl's sacred lord. Ape Tianlai also swung his divine weapon and smashed it over. After being bombarded by the two of them, the heavenly owl's sacred master was immediately delayed in getting up. Under such circumstances, the heaven-defying bead had already prepared his strongest attack. He suddenly blasted it out. When the heaven-defying bead's attack ended, Night Sorrow discovered that the heavenly owl Holy Lord had been instantly killed. After putting away the Sky Owl's sacred lord's spatial artifact, he took out the scroll of the hidden mission and confirmed that it had been completed. Night Sorrow took out the lower half of the Eternal Divine Tower and said, "Convert it into energy." All right. Little Seven immediately responded as a representative. Then, he put the Sky Owl Saint Lord into it and said, "Absorbing an expert at the peak of the upper heavenly sovereign level will give you a lot of resources. Although it won't help you directly advance to the half-step heavenly sovereign level, it won't be far off. This is definitely a great harvest. The harvest doesn't matter. I'm doing this mainly to avenge Senior Golden Crow." Night Sorrow said, then used the sea serpent's eye to observe the surroundings and said, "Sky Owl's sacred lord has already informed the others and activated the formation patterns. We have to leave quickly. Don't worry. This parlor's array patterns can't trap me at all." At this moment, the heaven-defying bead said something and soared into the sky, directly blasting open the roof of the guest hall. Then, he shouted, "Enter my space and I'll bring you all out. Sky Owl territory can't trap me. All right. Let's go in." After the heaven-defying bead finished speaking, Yen Tianlai was a little hesitant. However, Night Sorrow didn't hesitate at all and took the lead to enter the heaven-defying bead's space. He basically trusted the heaven-defying bead 100%. After Night Sorrow and Yen Tianlai entered, the heaven-defying bead laughed and said, "I think that if Sky Owl territory doesn't have any half-step Supreme Realm experts, we can kill a few more and leave." Night Sorrow said, "Although the people of Sky Owl territory aren't a threat, if I'm not wrong, the people of the heavenly deceiving tribe will definitely come. We have to leave quickly. If we leave this place, where will we go?" The heaven-defying bead didn't refute Night Sorrow's words. He asked about the future of Night Sorrow and the others. "We'll look for Supreme Longevity and the rest here, as well as Senior Yen. If we can't find them, we'll return to the foggy area. I'm too strong now, and I don't have the ability to kill all of the heavenly deceiving tribe. So, we have to go back and increase our strength as soon as possible." Night Sorrow said helplessly. At present, whether it was Supreme Longevity and the rest or Yen Jizuan, it was very difficult to find them. He didn't have much hope. At this moment, the heaven-defying bead said, "How about this? You and Yen Tianlai return to the foggy area. I'll stay here and look for their whereabouts. What do you think? Anyway, it's very difficult for my strength to increase in a short period of time." That's good too. But we'll talk about this after we leave this place. Night Sorrow felt that since they had killed so many Heavenly Deceiving Tribe members nearby, those Heavenly Deceiving Tribe members should catch up soon. All right. Then I'll bring you guys away. What do you plan to do with those Heavenly Deceiving Tribe members who surrendered? The Heaven-Defying Bead asked as they rushed towards the periphery of Sky Owl territory. The many experts of Sky Owl territory continuously bombarded it with the help of the sex array formation. I haven't considered this problem. But it's best that the few of them stay. After all, they can help us understand about the Heavenly Deceiving Tribe. Night Sorrow said and summoned 2 Heavenly Deceiving Tribe members. He placed them in the Heaven-Defying Bead's space and said, I'll leave these 2 for you, Senior. You can ask them some things about the Heavenly Deceiving Tribe. Okay. The Heaven-Defying Bead replied and blasted out a few beams of light at the many cultivators who intercepted him. These beams of light were all half-step to Supreme Realm attacks. Although they looked simple, when they reached, they exploded with great power. The Grand Elder of Sky Owl territory was almost blown to death. They were so frightened that they didn't dare to chase anymore. They allowed the Heaven-Defying Bead to fly directly out of Sky Owl territory. Not long after flying out of Sky Owl territory, the Heaven-Defying Bead said, the Heavenly Deceiving Tribe members are indeed here. There are about 10 teams. The leader is an upper Heavenly Sovereign. Should we take action? 10 teams, that's about 100 Heavenly Sovereigns? Hearing this, Night Sorrow immediately asked. The total number is more than 100, but they've all split up into teams and traveled separately. If we want to attack, there's still a chance. The Heaven-Defying Bead explained. If the other party had more than 100 Heavenly Sovereigns, even a half-step to Supreme Realm like him wouldn't be able to handle it. Naturally, he had no intention of attacking. Since that's the case, let's find a chance to get rid of 1 or 2 teams of Heavenly clans. Convert them into energy. I'm just short of some energy to break through to half-step to Heavenly Sovereign. After hearing the Heaven-Defying Bead's explanation, Night Sorrow immediately replied. Then I'll look for a weak team to attack. After getting Night Sorrow's confirmation, the Heaven-Defying Bead changed the direction of his flight and flew towards a small team of Heavenly Sovereigns led by a middle Heavenly Sovereign, blocking their path. Chapter 32-26. Who knows how many people these bastards have killed in the Eternal Supreme World? If we can kill them, we can't let them go. Ape Tianlia's eyes were filled with murderous intent as he looked at these alien races. It was these heaven-defying alien races that had turned his long-awaited return into a form of torture. Brother Ape, don't be too agitated. Once we go back and increase our strength, we will definitely chase these alien races out. No matter if it's the heaven-deceiving alien race or the people of the foggy area, none of them can destroy our home. Night Sorrow transmitted his voice to Ape Tianli before they were ready to attack. At this moment, the alien race team was getting closer and closer. At this moment, the Heaven-Defying Bead said, prepare to attack. Then, he released Night Sorrow and Ape Tianli. No hurry. Let's wait for them to get closer before we attack. I will give them a gift. After saying that, Night Sorrow set up a 13820983162 concealment array. Within the concealment array, he began to brew the Nirvana Heart Fire that he had learned from Su Lei. When the Heaven-Deceiving Races team flew back, he immediately used this move. The alien races who were unprepared were all hit. They had been hit by my Nirvana Heart Fire and their strength is greatly reduced. Let's kill them. When the Nirvana Heart Fire that had been brewing for a long time hit these alien races, Night Sorrow suddenly transmitted his voice. Then, together with Tian Ni and Ape Tianli, they charged towards these alien races. With Tian Ni, a half-step to the Supreme Realm, these alien races who were hit by the Nirvana Heart Fire were all killed very quickly. After the lower half of the Eternal Divine Tower absorbed the energy of these alien races, Tian Ni suggested, it's so easy for us to kill one team. Why don't we kill all the alien races nearby before leaving? What do you think? We can kill more, but there's no need to take such a huge risk for these alien races. Tian Shao territory will definitely report the death of Tian Shao Holy Lord to the alien races. If they hear that there are half-step to the Supreme Realm experts here, they might send out forces that we can't fight against. Night Sorrow analyzed. Then, under Tian Ni and Ape Tianlia's strong request, they killed another 3 alien race teams. Only then did he leave the vicinity of Heavenly Owl territory. When they were far enough away, Night Sorrow left with Ape Tianli, while Heaven Defying went to find Yan Jizuan and the others. After the Heaven Defying bead left, Night Sorrow did not bring Yuan Tianli to the foggy area. Instead, he put Ape Tianli into the space paradise and headed to the God World to find the passage to the God World. After returning to the Divine World to take a look, he confirmed that other than the heavenly demons from the ethereal mountain range causing trouble, there were no other problems. After that, he left the Divine World and headed to the fog region. To Night Sorrow, the most important thing right now was to increase his strength. After reaching the foggy area, Night Sorrow began to absorb the dark energy of the ancient coffin. Ape Tianli was the same. After absorbing the dark energy, Ape Tianli said, "Night Sorrow, do you still remember what I told you last time?" "What is it?" Night Sorrow asked curiously. "It's about helping my clansmen recover." Ape Tianli looked at Night Sorrow and said nervously, "You can, but if you purify them now, they won't have an environment to continue growing. That's not good. After all, you can cultivate normally in the foggy area because of my power of merit. If you purify them now, your clansmen will only be able to move around me. That's equivalent to restricting their freedom." Night Sorrow analyzed and said, "That's why it's best to purify them before the war starts. That's the most appropriate way." "You're right. If we purify them now, we might as well let them continue to increase their strength in this state." Ape Tianli agreed with Night Sorrow's analysis. After that, Night Sorrow brought Ape Tianli back to the Killer Heaven Academy. When they reached the area controlled by the Killer Heaven Academy, he immediately went to find Yunyi and the others. He wanted to see how they had developed over the past few days, and whether they had established their own forces. When he arrived, Night Sorrow realized that Yunyi and the others had already built the palace. The mountain peak was already in shape. Not bad. It's already quite large. I wonder if they've already recruited enough people. Night Sorrow said with interest as he looked at the palace below. They should have recruited quite a few people already. Otherwise, why would they build so many palaces? Ape Tianli said with a smile as he floated in the air and looked at the 12 palaces. "Let's go. We'll know when we see it." Night Sorrow said and flew down. As he wanted to test the array formation defenses on Yunye's place, he didn't transmit his voice to the others. As they flew down, Yishan was instantly astonished. There was no array formation on Yunye's mountain peak. Why is there no array formation? Isn't this equivalent to opening the door wide? After observing for a while, Night Sorrow was surprised. He realized that there was no array formation on the entire mountain peak. Yeah. How strange. If they don't even set up an array formation, who would choose to join them? Ape Tianli said doubtfully. "Let's go ask Yunyi what's going on." He definitely wouldn't be able to guess anything, so Night Sorrow activated his soul power and searched for the location of Yunyi and the others. After searching, he didn't find a single outsider. When he found Yunyi, Night Sorrow immediately asked, "Brother Yun, why didn't you set up an array formation? I get angry just thinking about it. We've set up more than 10 arrays, but each time, it was maliciously destroyed. And we don't even know who did it." Before Yunyi could speak, Xian Nian said unhappily. Then Yunyi said angrily, "Someone must be deliberately playing with us. They have the ability to destroy arrays and should be able to kill us easily. But they didn't do that." He was very unhappy that the arrays were continuously destroyed and they couldn't find out who did it. Then someone must be maliciously targeting us. I think they're not targeting you, but me. It's very likely that Lin Dongqing's men are secretly attacking. Night Sorrow speculated and continued, next, I'll set up the array formation. Let's see if they still have the ability to destroy it. If they can't even set up the array formation, it'll be difficult for us to gain a foothold here. Follow me back to Lu Tian Academy directly. All right. It looks like that's the only way now. Yin Yi said unwillingly, but he didn't have a better idea now. Lin Dongqing, who has a grudge with me, has a big family behind him. They should be the ones behind it. Night Sorrow began to set up the array formation after he finished speaking. He set up the 5-bull array and other trapping arrays consecutively. After he was done, he looked at Yun Yi and the others and said, this time, I'm not setting up a defensive array formation. It's meant to deal with cultivators. If they try to destroy it again, they'll definitely fall for it. All right. Then we'll wait for them to take the bait. This time, we must teach them a lesson. Yin Yi said angrily. Chapter 32-27. Of course we have to show them some colors. But we don't know when they'll appear, so we don't have to keep paying attention to them. Let's do other things for now. I'll let you know if anything happens. Yi Shang knew that Yun Yi and Xian Nian were infuriated and wanted to catch them, so he comforted them. Sigh. We're too impatient right now. We don't have the mood to do anything else. Yin Yi shook his head. Xian Nian was the same. He said unhappily, we've already formed a knot in our hearts. We'll just wait in the spell formation. Brother Yi, go ahead and do whatever you want. Don't worry about us. All right then. I need some time to cultivate. Night Sorrow said a few words to them before he found a large hall suitable for cultivation and entered the Eternal Divine Tower to begin his cultivation. In the tenfold acceleration, he continuously absorbed energy for more than 30 years and raised his strength to the peak of Earthly Sovereign, which was a half-step Heavenly Sovereign. He was only one step away from becoming a Heavenly Sovereign. He was about to catch up with some of the experts in the fog. Seeing that Night Sorrow had become a half-step Heavenly Sovereign, Xiaowu congratulated him. Night Sorrow, congratulations on being a step closer to becoming a Heavenly Sovereign. With your talent, when you become a Heavenly Sovereign, you might be able to fight with those upper Heavenly Sovereigns. I might not be able to compete with those veteran experts. They have a lot of experience. But if I can become a Heavenly Sovereign, should be able to easily win against a Middle Heavenly Sovereign. Night Sorrow analyzed. He felt that many of those upper Heavenly Sovereigns were old antiques who had cultivated for a long time. None of them were simple. They just live a little longer. They have more experience. They might have learned more about divine weapons and secret arts. Although you don't know much, you're not necessarily worse than them when it comes to learning everything. Xiaowu praised again. Especially if you can gather a few more levels of the Eternal Divine Tower. Xiaowu, I know that you have a strong desire to gather the 4th and 6th levels. When the time is right, we'll go. Night Sorrow knew that Xiaowu was envious of the 7th, 8th, and 9th levels. In fact, he also wanted to gather the entire Eternal Divine Tower as soon as possible. However, it was very difficult to get the remaining 5 levels. He needed to advance to the level of a Heavenly Supreme before he could attempt it. Especially the last 2 levels. Not only did he need strength to obtain them, but he also needed some luck. He also needed to make sure that Mia and the others were not in the cities under his control. Night Sorrow, don't worry, I can wait. I believe that the Eternal Divine Tower will see the light of its day. Little Five knew that Yi Shang was worried about him, so he replied. Don't worry, I've already taken care of it. Since I've already advanced to the half-step Heavenly Sovereign level, there's no need for me to continue cultivating. To become a Heavenly Sovereign STS. In any case, he had to wait for the people who destroyed the array. To course. Teet, TTest. Up until now, Yunyi had already grasped more than 20 character formulas and had basically mastered them. Night Sorrow was only able to combine a few characters to use, so he was relatively weaker. However, he was not in a hurry to study the arrangement of the words. Instead, he continued to comprehend them. After studying for about 20 years in the space where the speed was 10 times faster, Night Sorrow had comprehended 23 words. He was almost catching up to Yunyi. He had wanted to strike while the iron was hot and study a few more words. But today, he received a voice transmission from Yunyi. It was from Yunyi and Xian Nian. They had waited for a few years, but the people who destroyed the formation did not appear. They went to the nearby cities to recruit some subordinates. Today, he and Xian Nian rushed back with about 50 cultivators. Among these cultivators, there were 6 lower heavenly sovereigns. The rest were earth sovereigns. They were considered strong. Brother Yunyi, Brother Xian Nian. We recruited so many people right from the start. It's not easy to maintain, is it? It'll take a lot of resources to raise so many people. We don't have that many resources at the moment. Night Sorrow was surprised to see that the two of them had brought back so many people at once. They were too rash. Brother Yi, don't worry. We're doing this with the approval of Lu Tian Academy. We're gathering the people together. Then, we'll go and complete the various missions in the city. Basically, we'll be responsible for our own profits and losses. It's not a problem to have more people. Xian Nian said with a smile after hearing Night Sorrow's worries. He and Yunyi had studied the rules thoroughly during the years they had been in the vicinity. They knew how to develop. Night Sorrow continued, I'm worried about 2 things. First, there will be spies from the enemy. Second, we'll be targeted by other forces when we're doing missions. If the missions don't go well, not only will we not be able to keep people, but our reputation will also be ruined. Brother Ye's worries are reasonable. But if we want to develop our own strength, we have to take this step. Yunyi said, then continued, if Brother Yi is worried that someone will be disloyal, we can set a rule and make those who join us swear a heavenly oath. That's a good idea. You can settle them down and do it. Otherwise, it won't be good for us if they attack us from the inside. By the way, Brother Yun, I think that since we've already set up shop, you should give the force a name. Night Sorrow, who had been secretly observing these cultivators, continued to send a telepathic message. Through the observation of the sea serpent's eye, he realized that these cultivators were all looking around after entering. This was in line with human nature. He couldn't say anything. Upon hearing Night Sorrow's words, Yunyi continued, I'm going to call this place Night Demon Peak. We'll use your name in the Mist District as the name of the force. That's fine too. But if you use my name, you'll definitely be targeted in the future. After all, when I leave New Elegant Peak, I'll have to compete with many older students in the battlefield of Killer Heaven. By then, it won't be as simple as being targeted by Lin Dongqing alone. Night Sorrow said slowly. He knew that the path to his rise would definitely be a path of battle. It's fine. A force that grows in the wind and rain will definitely be more reliable. Let's call it Night Demon Peak then. As he spoke, Yunyi personally wrote the words, Night Demon Peak, at the mountain gate. Then, he said loudly, thank you all for joining us. In the future, Night Demon Peak will grow into one of the major forces in the Killer Heaven Academy. Night Demon Peak? Is the Night Demon our backer in the Killer Heaven Academy? Yunyi had just written the name Night Demon Peak and attracted the attention of many cultivators. Someone asked. Yes. The Night Demon is our backer. He's the top student in this world. His future is limitless. Yunyi nodded and said. He was very proud of Night Sorrow's achievements. Chapter 32-28. Night Demon? I've heard of him. Back then, my brother and I wanted to participate in the selection. But the rules were too cruel, so we didn't dare to participate. Night Demon successfully killed his way into the academy right in front of us. One of the heavenly sovereigns, Pan Nya, became excited when he heard the name Night Demon. Then, his brother, Heavenly Sovereign Pan Yu, said, I was there too. But I remember that Night Demon is an Earth Sovereign. Did he really become the top person this year? Of course. And he's already been recognized as a first-year genius by the 3 vice deans of the academy. It's almost certain that he'll become a half-step to the supreme realm in the future. His future is limitless. Xian Mian said proudly as everyone asked about Night Demon. To Night Demon Peak, Night Sorrow was a living advertisement. After he finished speaking, some of the heavenly sovereigns and earth sovereigns were instantly energized. They kept asking about Night Sorrow. Yun Yi and Xian Nian, on the other hand, spoke word by word. Everyone, who didn't have much confidence in Night Demon Peak, gradually felt a sense of belonging. He hasn't even joined the academy for a few days, and he's already recruiting? I'd like to see how long your Night Demon Peak can last. Just as everyone was chatting and drinking, a sharp arrow emitting a silver-gray light suddenly shot toward Night Demon Peak signboard. Obviously, it was an enemy attack. The attacker was prepared to shoot down Night Demon Peak's signboard to embarrass Yun Yi and Xian Nian. Similarly, it was also a slap to Night Sorrow's face. What arrow is that? It can actually pierce through the array set up by Brother Yi. Xian Nian's expression immediately changed when he saw the arrow flying towards him. At this moment, Heavenly Sovereign Pan Nya exclaimed, That's the Lin clan's array-breaking cloud arrow. It's the Lin clan behind Lin Dongqing. The Lin clan. It's the Lin clan. Some of the people present panicked when they heard about the Lin clan. At this moment, Yun Yi flew up to intercept the array-breaking cloud arrow. But just as Yun Yi flew over, Night Sorrow shouted, Brother Yun, let me do it. At the same time, he activated the Treastrimsa battle secret technique, activated the Azure Phoenix battle armor, and used the 9 steps of the heaven-defying sword. Skyrocket. He stretched out his hand to grab the cloud-piercing arrow. Who is this? The formation-breaking cloud-piercing arrow is made of ancient star iron and has been strengthened by Venerable Miyaji. It is very powerful. You can't grab it with your hands. Upon seeing Night Sorrow grab the cloud-piercing arrow with his bare hands, Heavenly Sovereign Pan Nya immediately shouted a warning. Thanks for the reminder. However, a divine weapon still needed a divine person to wield it. The person who shot this arrow was too weak, so he couldn't display the true power of this arrow. As Night Sorrow responded, he suddenly used the 100-word mantra's frozen 3-word mantra on the cloud-piercing arrow. He wanted them to cooperate and use it. He reduced the speed of the formation-breaking cloud-piercing arrow as much as possible before reaching out to grab it. Although Night Sorrow had retreated nearly 1,000 feet after catching the formation-breaking cloud-piercing arrow, he still managed to stop in front of the plaque. To be able to catch the formation-breaking cloud-piercing arrow, what kind of person is boss? How can he be so powerful? Upon seeing Night Sorrow grab the arrow with his bare hands, Heavenly Sovereign Pan Nya asked in confusion. Ha ha ha. This is the Night Demon, the number 1 person in Lu Tian Academy this year. After getting Night Sorrow's approval, Yun Yi said with a smile. So it's Lord Night Demon. No wonder he's so powerful. There's only one formation-breaking cloud-piercing arrow. If we can refine it by force, it will be a great help in breaking formations in the future. Heavenly Sovereign Pan Yu also praised. He was full of admiration for Night Sorrow's methods. The other people who had been recruited also felt that Night Sorrow's performance was very impressive, and they all began to praise him. Oh. There's only one formation-breaking cloud-piercing arrow? Very good. Upon hearing that there was only one formation-breaking cloud-piercing arrow, Night Sorrow immediately felt relieved. Because of this, the cultivators sent by the Lin family this time would not be a threat to them. You think you're so great just because you caught an arrow? You're just a bunch of trash who haven't seen the world. At this moment, another shout came from afar. A male cultivator from the Lin family threatened, those who have just been recruited, the Lin family will give you a chance. Leave this so-called Night Demon Peak within a month. Otherwise, all of you will die without a burial ground. The Lin family. It's indeed the Lin family behind this. Hearing the other parties shout, Yunyi immediately gritted his teeth and said. As for the people he had just recruited, they were obviously nervous. Although the Lin family was very rude, they did not have the courage to resist the Lin family at all. In an instant, all of them retreated. Brother Yi, everyone here is hesitating. What should we do? Should we kill those people outside to establish our dominance? The angry Yunyi did not act rashly. Instead, he asked. Establishing our dominance is a must. But we have to give these people a sense of security. I'll settle it. Night Sorrow replied Yunyi and flew through the mountain gate. He shouted outside, shameless boasting. You bunch of trash, what else can you do other than secretly attacking people? If you have the ability, come in and injure someone for me to see. If the Lin family wants to flatten your Night Demon Peak, it will be as easy as blowing off dust. The male cultivator from the Lin family still had a haughty look, but he did not move. You guys are so close, but you don't dare to attack. Do you only know how to use your mouth? Night Sorrow immediately mocked when the other party did not attack. Since you want to die, don't blame us for disobeying the orders of the Lord. Originally, the Lord was merciful and wanted to spare your lives. But now, it seems that you don't want to live at all. After Night Sorrow shouted, the male cultivator from the Lin family shouted again. Then, he shouted, the people we are going to kill are only the Night Demon, Yunyi, and Xian Nian. As long as you guys who were recruited don't attack, we will not target you. More than 10 heavenly sovereigns have come. Is this all you have? You don't have to be afraid. Only the 3 of us will attack Night Demon Peak today. Night Sorrow had already seen that more than 10 heavenly sovereigns had come from the Lin family, but there were less than 10 people on their side. Under such circumstances, the Lin family still threatened the cultivators they had just recruited. They had no courage at all. Kill them. After Night Sorrow spoke, the male cultivator leading the Lin family immediately roared. Then, he led his men and charged toward Night Demon Peak. Looking at the people charging over, Night Sorrow transmitted his voice to Yunyi and Xian Nian. Let them enter the array. They will break the 5-bull array no matter what. We have 100% chance of winning. Good. Since Brother Yi is so confident, let's be more high profile. When Xian Nian heard Night Sorrow's words, he immediately looked at the other cultivators he had recruited and said, prepare the food and wine. We will kill all these enemies in front of us, then drink and eat meat with you. Chapter 32-29. Can an earthly sovereign and 2 heavenly sovereigns really get rid of the dozen heavenly sovereigns before us? If you weren't confident, we wouldn't have just stood by and watched. Pan Nia didn't retreat when he saw that the Lin family was outnumbered. Instead, he asked a question. Pan Nia's brother, Pan Yu, said, that's right. Although we don't have much ability, we are definitely not cowards. Although the Lin family is powerful, it's not enough to make us tuck our tails between our legs. Haha. Pan Nia and Pan Nia, you two are really impressive. However, these ants in front of us are no threat to us. You can just drink and watch. Night Sorrow hadn't expected the Pan family brothers to step forward in such a situation. He was really grateful. After all, if the 2 of them had stepped forward, the others would have definitely stepped forward. Otherwise, it would have been too painful a slap in the face. However, he, Yunyi, and Xian Nian didn't need any help at all, so they politely declined. Ha ha ha. Since Brother Night Devil is so confident. Let's drink and watch for now. Here, this is the 10,000-year incense to help you. Pan Yu laughed and took out 3 jars of wine, handing them to Night Sorrow, Yunyi, and Xian Nian. Thank you for your kindness, Brother Pan. Night Sorrow opened the sea serpent's eye to check. After confirming that there was no problem with the wine, he drank it immediately. Yin Yi and Xian Nian were a little hesitant at first, but when they saw that Night Sorrow had already drunk it, they opened the bottle. You are about to be killed, yet you are still in the mood to drink. I don't even know how to describe the few of you. Lin Guanyin, the leader of the Lin family, scolded when he saw that Night Sorrow, Yin Yi, and the others were drinking at this juncture. At the same time, the other Lin family members moved quickly and attacked Night Demon Peak. Killing you is as easy as slaughtering chickens and rabbits. Why can't we drink? Yin Yi bellowed as he looked at the Lin family members. How arrogant. Let's see how you will cry later. Lin Guanyin of the Lin family looked at Yi Shang and the others with disdain. As for Night Sorrow, he wasn't even in the mood to summon Ape Tian Lai. After drinking, he summoned his golden heavenly halberd and let it float in the air, waiting for the Lin family to attack. At this time, Yin Yi and Xian Nian had also finished drinking. They threw the jar on the ground and were ready to fight. Some of the cultivators who had been recruited understood that the leaders of Night Devil Peak wanted to establish their might. Therefore, he didn't let anyone help him. They were very curious as to whether the three of them could successfully defend Night Demon Peak under the siege of more than 10 heavenly sovereigns from the Lin family. Boom! Under the watchful gazes of the crowd, the Lin family, led by Lin Guanyin, charged towards the signboard of the Night Demon Peak. This time, Night Sorrow didn't stop them. Instead, he activated the 5 Bowls formation and neutralized all the attacks. At the same time, Night Sorrow took out the lower half of the Eternal Divine Tower and prepared it to absorb the energy. Although the energy absorbed by the Eternal Divine Tower could not help him become a heavenly sovereign for the time being, it could form a very powerful attack. So your confidence lies in these newly set up formations. Let me tell you, these are all insignificant tricks. Kill them. As Lin Guanyin roared, he took out a huge bronze bell from his spatial magical artifact and started to strike it. It released a huge sound wave and blasted towards the formation that Night Sorrow had set up. Idiot. Seeing Lin Guanyin use his magical artifact to attack the 5 Bowls formation, Night Sorrow originally had the ability to use the formation to resist it. However, he felt that if the formation was so exaggerated, the Lin family would very likely not dare to enter. Therefore, when the other party attacked, he stopped the 5 Bowls formation and used an illusory formation to resist the sound wave of the bronze bell. Lin Guanyin's magical artifact was still very powerful. It directly shattered all the illusory formations that Night Sorrow had set up. Ha ha ha. I told you that these are all insignificant tricks. Lin Guanyin, who thought that he had broken all the formations of Night Demon Peak, laughed arrogantly and roared, "Kill Night Devil, Yin Yi, and Xian Nian." Yes. When the heavenly sovereigns of the Lin family heard the order, they immediately roared and charged towards Night Sorrow and the rest. Their auras gave off an extremely powerful feeling, causing the majority of the spectators to unconsciously take a few steps back. Only the 2 brothers of the Pan family remained in their original positions. As for Night Sorrow, Yin Yi, and Xian Nian, they went against the flow and attacked the heavenly sovereigns of the Lin family. At this moment, the 3 of them had completely unleashed their power. In terms of aura, they were completely superior to the Lin families. Great! Seeing Night Sorrow and the rest explode with such fighting spirit, Heavenly Sovereign Pan Nya couldn't help but cheer. Although the battle before them had yet to begin, he and his brother had already decided that if Night Sorrow and the rest could defend Night Demon Peak today, they would choose to join wholeheartedly. Great! I think they will die a horrible death. Lin Guanyin shouted disdainfully when he heard someone cheering. The one who will die a horrible death is you. At this moment, the Lin family had already entered the range of the 5 Bowls array. Night Sorrow sneered and activated the 5 Bowls array again. When the deafening spiritual attack reverberated, Lin Guanyin and the rest were shocked. They hadn't expected that there would still be an array in Night Demon Peak. They had originally planned to charge forward and smash the signboard of Night Demon Peak, but now they had to resist the ferocious spiritual attack. Lin Guanyin took out the copper bell again and shook it. However, under the bombardment of the 5 bulls array, the sound of the copper bell was completely muffled. Let's go. Seeing that the 5 bulls array's effect had been completely activated, Night Sorrow roared and charged into the array with the golden heavenly halberd in his hand. The first target he chose was the leader of the opposition, Lin Guanyin. You are just an earthly sovereign. Lin Guanyin had originally thought that Yunyi would be the one to fight, but when he realized that it was Night Sorrow, he was prepared to mock him even though he was suffering from the suppression of the array. However, before he could finish his sentence, Night Sorrow interrupted him and said, "You talk too much nonsense. Just shut up." Then, Night Sorrow struck him with the Ice Seal formula and the Divine Origin Trapping Array. He executed the 9 steps of the Defiant Heavenly Halberd and attacked Lin Guanyin. Seeing that Night Sorrow's attack wasn't simple, Lin Guanyin, who had wanted to say a few more words, shut his mouth and took it seriously. After all, he was a Middle Heavenly Sovereign and had a certain status in the Lin family. His combat power was still pretty good. However, Night Sorrow had now advanced to the level of a half-step Heavenly Sovereign, and his combat power had been further enhanced. Under the influence of the 5 bulls array, the Divine Origin Trapping Array, and the Ice Seal formula, Night Sorrow quickly suppressed Lin Guanyin. Oh no! Someone save me! Lin Guanyin, who was suppressed, quickly realized that he wasn't a match for Night Sorrow. He immediately called for help. Immediately, the dozen heavenly sovereigns, who had been besieging Yunyi and Xian Nian to kill them quickly, suddenly split up and surrounded Night Sorrow. Chapter 32:30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The Night Demon, who is only an earthly sovereign, can fight against 7 heavenly sovereigns by himself. It's unbelievable. This kind of talent is rarely seen in the foggy area. Even when the heavenly sovereign surrounded him, Night Sorrow was still unstoppable. Heavenly Sovereign Pan Nya couldn't help but praise him when he saw how valiant he was. The others who were watching the battle were also sincerely convinced by Night Sorrow. They felt that he was simply amazing. This Night Demon is really difficult to deal with. No wonder he can be Young Master's opponent. After being suppressed by Night Sorrow, Lin Guanyin said unhappily. Although he knew that the people in front of him were seriously affected by the array, the most important thing was that Night Sorrow was strong enough. Although his cultivation was at the level of a half-step heavenly sovereign, he was much stronger than ordinary middle heavenly sovereigns. This was the main reason why he was able to handle the attacks of 7 people with ease. Brother, this Night Demon is too difficult to deal with. Should we run away? Being suppressed by Night Sorrow and in danger of losing his life at any time, Lin Guanyin's younger brother, Lin Guangxian, asked fearfully. At this moment, he clearly felt that his head was no longer under his control, and he immediately wanted to retreat. No need. Aren't the others suppressing Yunyi and Xian Nian? After they kill the 2 of them, the dozen of us will attack the Night Demon together. We will definitely be able to kill him. In the end, this array is too disgusting. We were careless and fell for it. Lin Guanyin, who was observing the battle on the other side, replied through voice transmission. Naturally, their communication couldn't be heard by Night Sorrow. After hearing Lin Guanyin's words, Lin Guangxian replied, "All right. Let's hold on a little longer. There are so many cultivators watching. This concerns the Lin family's reputation. Let's hold on together." After saying that, Lin Guanyin continued to fight with Night Sorrow. He had the strength of a middle heavenly sovereign, but he was seriously affected by the 5 bulls array. During the battle, he felt dizzy. Although he said he was powerful, he always hid in the back during the battle with Night Sorrow, afraid that he would be killed directly. The other members of the Lin family could naturally tell, but no one dared to say anything. They could only brace themselves and fight with the godlike Night Sorrow. Compared to the Lin family's decline, Night Sorrow was getting more and more courageous. Everyone was suppressed to the point that they couldn't even raise their heads. He smiled and said, "Is that all your Lin family has? How could they call themselves a great clan? What a joke. If you have any trump cards, hurry up and use them. Otherwise, you won't have the chance to use them again." In fact, the current Knight Sorrow had the ability to kill everyone in front of him. However, he didn't do that because he still had a battle with Lin Dongqing. He wanted to see some of the Lin family's secret techniques from these people. This way, he would be able to gain a better understanding of Lin Dongqing. Thus, even though he had attacked ferociously, he had not killed anyone. Arrogant brat. Hearing Knight Sorrow's words, Lin Guanyin was completely enraged. As a member of the Lin family, he had never been humiliated in public like this. Although he was afraid that he would be killed directly, he still stood up. He said, "Everyone, cooperate with me and use the strongest secret technique of the Lin family. King of all forests." Yes. The other cultivators of the Lin family who were fighting with Knight Sorrow all responded. King of all forests. Hearing the name alone, Knight Sorrow couldn't guess what it was. However, he was very confident in himself. After Lin Guanyin shouted the name, he temporarily restrained his attacks and created the conditions for him to use this secret technique. "How dare you be so arrogant? You will die here immediately." Lin Guanyin could clearly sense that Knight Sorrow was resisting and immediately shouted angrily. As his voice fell, the king of all forests was completely unleashed. As soon as this ultimate technique was unleashed, thick ancient trees appeared in the void. At a rough glance, there were hundreds of thousands of them. Each of these trees was formed by energy and emitted a black light. It feels very powerful. Very good. Finally, something is waiting for me. The king of all forests in front of him gave Knight Sorrow a strong sense of oppression. This secret technique must be one of Lin Dongqing's trump cards. This was what he wanted to see. Brother Night Demon, be careful. This is one of the strongest secret techniques of the Lin family. Its power is extremely terrifying. Seeing that Lin Guanyin was cooperating with the other cultivators to use the king of all forests, Knight Sorrow didn't stop him. Heavenly Sovereign Pan Nie reminded him immediately. He had heard of this secret technique of the Lin family. "Don't worry, I'm fine." "Drink up," Knight Sorrow replied to Pan Nie, then looked at Lin Guanyin and said, "I see that you are almost ready. Isn't it time to use this secret technique? This is the first time I, Lin Guanyin, have seen someone as reckless as you. Go to hell." After being provoked by Yi Shang's words, Lin Guanyin completely erupted and unleashed the king of 10,000 forests. As thousands of energy trees bombarded Knight Sorrow, a huge, colorful tiger appeared in the void. While Knight Sorrow was dodging the attacks of the trees, the colorful tiger pounced on Knight Sorrow. Compared to the trees, this tiger was much stronger. Not only was it huge, but it also looked like it had materialized. After it appeared, it started attacking wildly. So the core of the king of all forests is this tiger? I think it's just a so-so. It's just a sick tiger like all of you. Knight Sorrow, who was fighting against the tiger in front of him, said disdainfully. If that was all, he didn't think this move was anything special. It wasn't exquisite enough for him to learn from. You're being too naive. Lin Guanyin's face was filled with disdain. Then, another bai and suddenly appeared in the air. It also pounced at Yi Shan. Interesting. So this is the ultimate technique to summon powerful creatures to fight? Knight Sorrow observed with the eye of the sea serpent and found that the tiger and bai and summoned by Lin Guanyin were all between materialized and energy. This was very mysterious. When fighting the bai and the tiger, he found that Lin Guanyin and the others were already exhausted. They couldn't summon anything else in the void. As he destroyed the tiger and bai Lin Guanyin and the others completely lost the ability to fight back. They were killed one by one. However, Yi Shang had asked Lin Guanyin to stay behind. He wanted to ask him more about Lin Dongqing. This would help him understand Lin Dongqing better, and he could learn some of the Lin family's ultimate techniques from him. Know yourself and your enemy and you will never be defeated. Night Sorrow killed the cultivators of the Lin family one by one. Yin Yi and Xian Nian, who were struggling to hold on, heaved a sigh of relief. After that, their battle became very simple. With Night Sorrow's help, they easily won the final victory. You're tuning into the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.